to another, actually a very late episode of To Speak Geek. We're what, a month after the last episode?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was like 11:15 and then now.
Yeah, so we apologize for that. Just some stuff came up. So let's see what went on. We did our normal 2-week bubble, and then I think I had to work one weekend, and then we both woke up feeling kind of shitty one weekend.
Yeah, and it was just, we'll just take a day off.
Yeah, so, and you know, it's the holidays and all that sort of stuff. But the good news
absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that's what we needed.
And judging by those podcast statistics, it sounds like our absence made Germany very fond of us because we ranked like 29th in video games. So
what's up, Germany?
Awesome. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Neither did I, and I'm pretty excited about that. So Germany, thank you very much for listening to us.
Danke.
Yeah, whatever he said. My brother, we've talked about this before. My brother played football in Germany, in Baltic and in Kiel. So, you know, hey,
there you go.
One love to Germany.
Yeah, so the good news is it doesn't look like either of us has COVID, as far as I know. I mean, it's such a weird thing about that. I mean, we could have had it. We could have had it for a long time and just not have known. And that's, right. I mean, who would have thought in our lifetimes we would have, you know? I always thought when a pandemic hit that it would be super noticeable, like, you know, like you knew who would have it because they would be zombies. You know?
Exactly. Like I was hoping for zombies, but now we just got a bunch of brain dead idiots. This is stupid. This isn't the same thing at all.
Exactly.
No, it's crazy because, like, you know, back to COVID, like everything does. When COVID first came in March of last year, I was like, man, we should be out of this stuff by July. And then July hit, and then now, and it's just like, I don't even know what's going to happen now, man. And it's become a normal now. It's, you know, you see videos of and pictures from other states and other countries. They got masks off and they're all hanging out. And then the Bay Area's in another lockdown. And, you know, hey, man, we got to get through this.
And here I am longingly looking at countries like New Zealand and Taiwan, and they, you know, they shut down for like 3 weeks and they're done with it. They're having concerts again and shit. And I'm just like, oh man.
Well, you know, we could go off on that topic for hours, which is why people are not here. But I do want to say, man, it is good to be back after a month being away. So much shit has happened. Like, it's just been a whirlwind after a whirlwind, man. So it's good to be back, dude.
It is. And you know what? Speaking of so much shit has happened, I forgot to add onto our episode notes all the shit that Disney Plus dropped, so I'm gonna add that right now because we could easily spend an entire episode just on the shit that
and Disney even just to do you one better, I took screenshots of everything that Disney released on Twitter, so we can
I know you sent them to me. And my phone for like 10 minutes was like
dude, I felt so bad because I'm like, dude, he's gonna be so annoyed with his phone blowing up, but I'm like, I can't type this shit, I just have to screenshot everything because Disney was dropping massive news dumps in just a little tiny tweet. Like, they sat here and put out all these pictures and all this other kind of stuff, and we'll get into it later, but they just announced Indiana Jones 5 dropping July 21st, 2022 with Harrison Ford being directed by James Mangold in a tweet with like 5 lines.
I really wish they wouldn't. Really wish they wouldn't. The only saving grace to that, we may as well kick into all the Disney Plus news right now, starting with that. The only saving grace is that James Mangold is behind it, and maybe we can get, you know, obviously not a rated R Indiana Jones like Logan, but maybe we can get a more Logan-esque Indiana Jones, because look, I was looking forward to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for a long time, and then I saw it and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, oh dude, me too. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a complete disgrace. Like, I knew that it was going to be garbage when Indiana Jones jumped into a fridge and then launched across a nuclear blast and bounced everywhere and got out just like, oh, I'm cool. Indiana Jones is not a superhero.
This is how bad that movie was. My kids who are, well, my daughter's going to be 9 in a week, but my kids who are 7 and 8 right now, okay? Yeah. 7 and 8. This is the age where you should be able to watch a bunch of bullshit and be like, yeah, that's cool. You know, my kids, when they saw Shia LaBeouf start vine swinging with a bunch of monkeys like he was the Monkey King, even my kids were like, what the hell?
Yeah, and like the scene looked incomplete. Like the visual graphics of it were dog shit. They had some cool stuff like the fire ants and you know, I kind of like Indiana Jones and like a little bit of the alien stuff and the archaeology stuff, and I thought that was a cool concept. But
I agree with you, because that's where they needed to go. They had 3 Indiana Joneses full of supernatural religious stuff.
Yes.
It was a natural progression to go to extraterrestrial, I think. I'm not mad about that.
When the story was originally written, it was supposed to be Indiana Jones and the little men from Mars, or like the men from Mars or something like that. And it was this whole Martian coming to alien thing, but it was terrible. And the thing is that I think they wanted to pass the buck off to Shia LaBeouf, and I will sit here right now, and I like Shia LaBeouf. I can't find much negative to say. He's a crazy ass dude. He's way out there, but he is somebody.
That's why I like him.
Right, he just kind of lives his life. He got into some legal trouble recently because apparently, his alcohol abuse and everything else. He had a lot of problems with his last wife, with assault and stuff. So he'll get through that shit. And if that stuff is true, then fuck you. You're a terrible person. But
that's just Hollywood growing pains. Yeah. Come on, we all do it.
Well, I mean, yeah. So whatever, dude. And so as long as they can figure that stuff out. But dude, I like the Transformers movies and Samuel Witwicky, so I thought he would have been a good pass off for the Indiana Jones. The problem is that A, Harrison Ford didn't want to let it go. B, he didn't want to pass it on to Shia LaBeouf. And C, you have Steven Spielberg and George Lucas trying to make this kind of movie that's just not going to work. And Steven Spielberg has done that quite a bit with a lot of his recent movies. He's trying to do, I don't know what he's doing, but it's not working. Like, I loved the book Ready Player One. Wasn't a fan of Ready Player One, the movie. I thought it was good, but it wasn't as good
I was
as the
just
book.
about to use that as an example. Yeah.
And I think I'll
use that movie as like a reference for what Dolby Vision should look like, but
yeah,
you'll have to fucking pay me to sit through it again.
No, like, I mean, I own it in 4K because, like, it's really cool, but it's not a good movie. Like, the book is so much better, and I hate being one of those people who say that. Yeah. But I think we started to see
Speed Racer or Alita Battle Angel, which is one of my guilty pleasures. It's not great, but it looks cool.
Exactly, it just looks cool, and I think that's where we started to see the decline of Steven Spielberg as well as George Lucas with Indiana Jones 5. And I hated that movie, but unlike you, I am super excited for this one because Harrison Ford isn't going to come back at 106 years old and play Indiana Jones again and like put on some whack ass story at the end. Like, Hugh Jackman went out the right way with Wolverine. James Mangold is really good at telling these dramatic stories that are character driven. So I think that he's going to be able to give a great swan song for Indiana Jones. And also, Indiana Jones, in my opinion, again, I'm sorry, I'm just talking a ton here, should not be passed on to somebody else. I agree. Yeah, there's no continuation for that. You have Indiana Jones, and that's it. Just like you have Han Solo. That's it. You don't pass it on. You don't continue it. That's it. And I think that's where Indiana Jones is.
Is Shia LaBeouf coming back for this one?
No, not that I'm aware of. They didn't say anything at all. I just saw that tweet. And again, it was a 5-sentence tweet that Disney drops. But they also dropped so much more. Lando Calrissian is coming back with his own new series event for Disney Plus.
Hold on 1 second before we proceed. I need to ask you about Shia LaBeouf since we were talking about him.
Please do.
Is it as hard for you as it is for me to watch anything he's in and not just see Even Stevens in it?
See, for me, because I never watched Even Stevens.
I didn't as well. I caught a few episodes here and there, but I it's not like Saved by the Bell where I've seen every episode. But that's just kind of what I associate him with. Kind of like Hilary Duff and Lizzie McGuire. I never watched anything more than like a handful of episodes, but that's just like the first thing that pops in my head.
Yeah, see, and that's what it does for me. Like when I see him, I instantly think Even Steven or Holes. Like those are the two things that I think of. Holes was good, man. But over the past couple years, whenever I see Shia LaBeouf, my instant thought is Samuel Witwicky. I don't know why. I just like the way that sounds.
You remember that movie iRobot? He was in that.
Yeah, he was in Constantine.
He was, yeah. I think those two movies were like where I first was introduced to him as like a more Hollywood actor, and I thought he was hilarious in fucking iRobot.
Yes, that's where I liked him the most. Was in that's when I first started liking him. Was in Constantine. I was like, okay. Name's Chaz Kramer, asshole. Like, I just like it, man. It's just Shia LaBeouf is the only one who could do that. So it's pretty good.
All right, let's move on. Since we were talking about all the George Lucas stuff, so we may as well move on to the Star Wars news like you were bringing up with Lando. Now, here's the thing. Doing a Lando show is kind of along the same, I guess, stratosphere as doing an Indiana Jones 5. You have a guy that's way... I don't know what kind of a show it's going to be because Billy D. Williams, while he can still obviously pull off the Lando character like we saw in Rise of Skywalker, how, for lack of a better term, exciting is this show going to be?
Well,
it'll be exciting because it's Lando, but how much can you do? I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's only Lando, but I don't think it's going to be a long, drawn out story. I think it's going to be a smaller, just self-contained, 8-episode arc.
8-episode
yeah,
thing.
because what they did say was a brand new event series for Disney Plus, which would lead me to believe, something small. It doesn't say a new series, it says new event series. So, because over here they're saying, hey, they have a new Star Wars series or they have a new animation series. Nothing else says event series, which I'm curious if it's just going to be, a small arc with Lando where they're kind of carrying off after episode 9 where he has that new girl who are taking off in the Falcon together.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you're going to do that, which would be cool because, I feel like there's more characters in these stories, and I think Disney is kind of hedging their bets, I think I said that right, on this new thing that they're doing with this, which is their massive inclusion and diversity with everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I texted you this the other day, and we kind of disagreed, and I kind of want more of your opinion on this, but I think what HBO and Warner Brothers and what Disney is doing right now is they are basically killing the movie industry. Not killing the movie industry, but killing the theater industry. Because for me personally, and we'll get into this when we talk about the WB stuff and everything else, it is going to take a lot, and I mean like a massive epic that can only be seen in IMAX to make me go back and pay all that money to take my family of 4 to a movie theater when I can see all this stuff at home.
I think that's where you and I differ. I think you're right. I think you're along... What was that?
My Alexa just turned on all of a sudden. It heard me say. So I like Star Trek and Next Generation, so I changed my Alexa name to computer. So whenever I say the word computer, it turns on.
Dude, I need to do that, but I won't do that because I say that word too many times. And
I do too, and
anyways,
that's where it's like might be time to change this.
So I agree with you to a degree. I think with 2020 being what it is, and with WB moving to, all their 2021 movies coming out on HBO Max, I think it will take years upon years for the theater industry to go back to what they once were. In terms of the theater industry dying, I don't think that's the case, but I think it will struggle for a very long time. But before I forget, since we were talking about Lando.
Yeah, sorry.
And we'll for sure come back to this with the WB stuff since we have AMC and Regal responding to what.
We're going to be all over the board today. We have a lot to talk about, guys, so strap in.
We do. But I kind of wish when they announced the Lando series, I really kind of wish it was young Lando with Donald Glover.
I do too, and...
Because we don't know a lot about him other than what we saw in Solo and some extended universe stuff from books and stuff like that, which, isn't canon.
Yeah, that's true. But this is where I start to get my conspiracy theory stuff starts tinkering here. And hear me out on this.
Go.
So,
let's do it.
Atlanta was one of FX's biggest, most award-winning shows. Like, it just changed the game when Atlanta came out. Done by Donald Glover. Now, which is on FX. So, yes. Atlanta just got renewed for more seasons through FX, which is also owned, by Disney. So, you look at the fan base and the crowd that Donald Glover has, and you have all this money that you're going to make off of Atlanta. You bring Atlanta back for 2 more seasons. You give Billy D. Williams his send-off with Lando Calrissian, and then at the end of the 2-year run for Atlanta, you bring in Donald Glover, and you bring him in as Lando Calrissian, and you tell the old story. So, instead of starting off now, Disney and FX have just solidified themselves for 5 years down the future because they can still bring back in Donald Glover as Lando. Just another 2 years won't matter to Donald Glover, but another 2 or 3 years could effectively kill off, who knows, Billy D. Williams. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's smart for them to hedge their bets, and I'm all for that because you also got Donald Glover, who, by the way, everyone knows, but is also in the MCU in Spider-Man. Like, so he has a point in there where he's Miles Morales' cousin. So, and we're going to get into this when we talk about our Spider-Man stuff because, uncle, I'm sorry, he's his uncle, he's his nephew, so... So it seems to me that Disney is in the Donald Glover business, and I don't see how they would not hedge their bets again on Donald Glover doing a Lando Calrissian.
Well, and even going a step further into your conspiracy theory with Disney and Donald Glover, you have the Russos who did Community with Donald Glover, and they're also, the Marvel guys.
That's correct. And
Ba-boom.
That's right. And now, didn't the Russos also have something to do with Arrested Development?
Yes, they did. I believe so. Yep.
Because the blue
stair car was
is in Civil War.
Dude, that show was so great.
Dude, Arrested Development was great. Even the newer seasons that Netflix produced, aren't the best, but they're pretty good along the lines of Arrested Development.
They're not the best, but they're still so absurd. Like with Tobias Finke thinking he's going to the Method 1 acting clinic when it's a methadone clinic.
Yeah. And he's living in the attic with these recovering addicts, like calling them a family. Dude, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Arrested Development, dude. David Cross, Jason Bateman, Michael Cera, Jeffrey Tambor. You've got Will Arnett. You've got the voice of Forky himself, and I can't. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Oh my god,
the voice of who?
He plays Forky. He's Forky, but he's
Tony something.
Yeah, Tony Hale. Like,
Tony Hale, there you go.
When you look at the cast that they had for Arrested Development, dude, that's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, man.
It was brilliant.
Brian Grazer and Ron Howard's humor that he had from TV, so good, so good. Yep. Sorry, I went off on a tangent here, but if you haven't seen Arrested Development in any other countries and you guys have access to it, you should watch it because it's hilarious, and it's actually becoming more and more relevant today than it was years ago. And
I know, isn't that weird?
It is. Interesting. So
another announcement that they made was, and this one has me super excited because I just saw her live action debut on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know
they're doing a live action Ahsoka.
Of course.
And they're also, we knew the live action Obi-Wan was a thing. That wasn't, we knew that was coming. But we did not know Hayden Christensen was coming back.
No.
As Vader. Now, here's the weird thing. I was already an adult and a grown-up when the prequel series came out, so I remember, seeing them in the theaters and blah, 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 all that stuff like that. Isn't it weird that now we're in the year 2020 and we all suddenly love Hayden Christensen as Anakin?
And I don't understand why, because I think he's a fucking terrible actor, and I think he was the worst part of the trilogies, and it's good that he's coming back, but, I'll
tell you exactly why, and this is my conspiracy theory. First of all, I think he can act fine if you give him the right shit, because one of my favorite movies is Life is a House, and he was great in that. I think it was just George Lucas's script that was absolutely horrible. I mean, you could put fucking Robert De Niro in that role, and there's nothing he could do to save it. But I think we're in this weird... I don't know how to describe it. We're in this weird culture now where everybody hates the prequel series. Or not the prequel series, the sequel series. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody hates, having Rey. They call her a Mary Sue and blah, blah, blah. And how Rian Johnson ruined The Last Jedi and all that. I think we're in such a culture of hate right now that we can actually turn back and look at the prequel series with rose-colored glasses now and be like, oh, those were great. When you and I both know they weren't.
No, why? That's where I feel like I'm in the minority, and my brother, for instance, what up, Bubba? He had just watched Saturday night, Star Wars Episode 9. He had just watched.
I saw that. He put it on his stories.
Right. And then he called me afterwards, and he was like, dude, my mind was blown. And like, he was just enamored with it, blown away. He was coming up with these and going off with all of this stuff. And this is somebody who's not a Star Wars guy. So, and I think that's what the last three movies were made for, a new generation of Star Wars. If you've seen Star Wars A New Hope, then you have seen Star Wars Episode 7. That's just it. It's the exact same movie, just different casting. But for him to not watch it, to hear the excitement from Episode 9 is really exciting, because that's the way I felt, a lot of us felt, when we first saw Episode 1, 2, and 3 as younger people in theaters for the first time. Be like, oh my God, look, it's Anakin Skywalker as a child. This is awesome. Like, I feel like that's what we thought. So it's really cool to see that the effect that you and me look at, the trilogies, and it's like, yeah, okay, the new ones, okay, they're good, or 1, 2, and 3 are not good at all. And you look at this stuff, but it's just kind of cool to see how each trilogy at a different time in their lives have affected them. And that's where I think that we're seeing like this hate and this vitriol coming out towards the new trilogy, because again, this is all the new stuff, is all the inclusive and different kind of people and different stories, and it's not the comfort warm everybody's used to. And Episodes 1, 2, and 3 were, hey, look, it's the exact same thing you're used to, just with more color. So I think that's why.
And as we know, this country turned out, it was filled with people that absolutely fucking hate that.
Right.
And the moment you put a black guy in a prominent role, suddenly they'll call you an SJW asshole and all that stuff. And it's like, my God, really?
Right. And you know, that's where it's not even shocking to see where we are now in this country and whatever. And we're not going to get into any of that stuff. But you know, us growing up and kind of being into the comic books and everything else, you know, and being into the internet and kind of, you know, looking at all this casting stuff and being more behind the scenes on this geek stuff than a lot of the other people, you know, we've seen this hate and this vitriol spewed out with people, you know, all the way back with Michael Keaton as Batman and Heath Ledger as Joker and Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. How dare you cast a black Kingpin? Really? Because Michael Clark Duncan was fucking awesome as Kingpin. So
there's a black Batman now in the comics, and you should go on Twitter right now and see what's up.
Yeah, like I saw the other day, it was like FYI. It was like someone put out, just in case you didn't know, Batman's black now. And then you look at the comments of people just so much hate in there. And again, to me, it's not surprising because I've seen this before. I've seen this with so much casting when they casted John Boyega or when they casted Michael Clark. You know, and it's sad to see that because these stories are so well done that you have to look past that. And again, to see people, a whole new generation get into Star Wars and love 7, 8, 9, like my brother is great, or my daughters who we just watched episode 4 last night, and my oldest is like, are we going to stop? I want to watch more. So then we watched episode 5, and then today we're going to do 6, and we're going to go through it because she got hooked.
Oh, you're not going to do machete order?
No, I barely got her through episode 4. I'm just going to have to keep going. Like, I don't need to change it all up because she likes this stuff right now, and I don't want to switch her give her the huge shock of the first one. I think if we go through it all the way like we did, then I can take her back and rewatch it with her.
Yeah.
But now she wants to watch The Mandalorian, which is great because now I can watch The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was that was gonna lead me to my next thing about the Ahsoka series. Ahsoka's debut in live action was fucking phenomenal. As someone who's a huge fan of hers all the way from the Clone Wars and comic books, and I've read the Ahsoka book, and my daughter loves Ahsoka, and it's just it's a cool character to have for, you know, the younger generation growing up. Her debut in live action was fucking phenomenal. And if they can keep up the same type of tone as The Mandalorian has for her live action series and the Obi-Wan series, then my God, I mean, what can they do wrong?
Well, my biggest fear with the Ahsoka series and with the Anakin series and the Obi-Wan series and everything else coming out is that Disney Plus is Disney's going to overload everybody. And this is the reason why I haven't watched The Mandalorian yet, because there has been so much Star Wars through Disney over the past couple years that I'm burnt out. And now it's at the point, and I made this joke the other day, and I'll do this now with Disney Plus. We now have Chris Evans is going back and voicing a young Buzz Lightyear in the new Lightyear series.
Which I'm super excited about, by the way.
Me too, dude, which is dope. But it appears that what we're seeing now, and I'm all happy for it, though, is that we're going into these giant just circles and groups where it's basically like a giant movie
they're dipping
orgy.
into the well, basically.
Right, and everybody is being cast in everything. So, like, I'm just hoping that they get a good director for this, because the reason The Mandalorian is so good is because Jon Favreau is that good. Like, believe it or not, give the man his credit. There would be no MCU if it wasn't for Jon Favreau and Iron Man. Deal with
Agreed.
that. There would be no live-action remakes of anything if it wasn't for Jon Favreau and The Jungle Book. You're welcome. There would be no Disney Plus, honestly, if Jon Favreau wouldn't have been like, yeah, we're going to do this and try it out. So, without someone as strong as him on an Ahsoka series or like any of these other Star Wars series or Obi-Wan, it worries me. And I don't want to get into this oversaturation where they're like, oh my God, we got people hooked and Disney Plus is now Star Wars Plus. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what we're getting. And that was my same issue that I had with the Marvel movies. I love the Marvel movies, but how many of them do you guys have to put out a year?
Well, we're slowing down now because of the pandemic.
Well, yes and no. And this is where I'm so excited about all these Disney Plus announcements, but I'm also not, because there is so much that they're putting out that there's no way all of this is going to be good quality. It's just not.
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about this the other day, and it's on what you just said about the same people being in everything now and we're going in circles. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of British television. Mm-hmm. You know, Doctor Who, the original Office, you know, even fucking Midwife and all those shows. I love those fucking shows. I love British television. And if you watch British television and British film, it's like the same 10 actors in everything. David Tennant is in everything.
Yeah.
The fucking guy that plays Professor Slughorn in Harry Potter, he's in everything. You know? Yeah. Well, that's kind of like Disney Plus has just become British television with the same people over and over in different roles. And, you know, I'm trying to go into this with a little bit of positivity. If it works for British TV, it's got to work here.
But yes and no. I mean, British TV and American TV are completely different. But I think the one thing that worries me about this is that as much as I love Captain America and as much as I love the Avengers, I think Chris Evans was 10 times better in Snowpiercer and in Knives Out. But when are we going to get another Chris Evans movie like that? And I think that Rosario Dawson is an amazing actress, and she would have been great as Night Nurse or any of this other stuff. But is she going to get pigeonholed into an Ahsoka series by a shitty actor? And it's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, Disney needs to be careful. And I'm not saying that they're not, but you can tell where Disney's putting their investment. Ahsoka, maybe, but I think Disney's throwing all their money at the Star Wars Rogue Squadron story they're making with Patty Jenkins, because Patty Jenkins is a fucking director. She is the one who made Wonder. You know what I'm saying? So now Disney just took the creator of Wonder Woman on the silver screen and stole her to make Star Wars. Like, I mean, and the fact that was just a little blip on Disney's radar just goes to show, like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. And I'm just hoping that Disney doesn't overplay themselves and stress themselves too thin, because the reason Guardians of the Galaxy works is because James Gunn works. And that's the reason Suicide Squad can work. And that's why they gave him both. And that's why Disney decided we're going to bring James Gunn back, because there's no Guardians of the Galaxy without James Gunn. And
which I agree with,
exactly. And there's no Wonder Woman without Patty Jenkins. I'm sorry, but there's just not, because of what she does. So I'm just curious what Disney's going to do with this, because they're putting a lot of their cards out. But
so here's my question with those, and just really quickly on Rogue Squadron, is Wedge Antilles going to be in it? Because he was the main character of the Rogue Squadron show.
No.
The games, the books, whatever. Nope. Is there going to be a Wedge Antilles?
Nope. Patty Jenkins came out and said that they are not taking anything from the shows or the comics. They're taking the name.
I missed that.
Yeah, it was just like a tweet that she did. She wants it to be like an original story just based in the Squadron's universe, which I am so for, because she made a good point in her. You saw the video, right?
Yeah, I saw some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Dude, no joke. For the first few minutes I was watching it, I was like, dude, is she taking over Captain Marvel too? Or like, then I was like, wait, is she
was like rollerblading in like
in a flight suit?
Airfield, and I was like, what's happening here?
Right. Then she was like, then I was like, oh my God, are they going to put Top Gun? I don't know. My mind was going a million miles. And then when I saw the TIE Fighter, I got goosebumps. And I was like, oh my God. Now, to me, Disney is investing in that, because that's going to be a ride at fucking Disneyland California Adventures here pretty soon. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I'm excited for, dude. But I mean, we could sit here and go for hours, but there's one thing I want to touch on Disney Plus. I know that you saw it. The trailer for WandaVision. Like, whoa. Did you watch that?
So basically, we called it. I don't think it was any huge secret. We called it. It's definitely reality breaking down around Wanda, who created this false reality. And have you seen the posters for it with the wallpaper peeling? And there's like, it looks like, I don't know, like the quantum realm or something behind the wallpaper. Every single one of the posters has the wallpaper peeling in a different way with quote reality behind it.
Yes.
So I think we're right. I think it's Wanda losing her mind.
Yes, because there was a scene in the trailer that was just kind of look away and you miss it, where someone's like, this isn't happening, it's all in your head. Like, it's something like that, where led me to believe that she is somewhere being tested on. But it was just, those were the things.
And we saw a baby's crib, so this very easily could be a House of M type thing. And I'm willing to bet my nut on this. My nuts.
I was like, you only have one? Oh, Jesus.
I'm willing to bet my nuts that this is how they bring in the Fantastic Four, because that was announced as well.
Mm-hmm. See, I love this. This is how this podcast is going to go, folks. Strap in. We're having a good time here. So, yeah, the Fantastic
And everyone who knows me knows I love the Fantastic Four. Not the movies, the comics. They're the Marvel's first family. They're the ones who kicked off the Marvel Universe in 1961. We owe a lot to the Fantastic Four. So I'm
absolutely
fucking excited.
But here's what I will say, though. I was super excited until they said it was going to be a feature film. Because to me, the Fantastic Four has been around so long that you should build them up as a TV series. And I think the Fantastic Four would be a way better show to put on Disney Plus and build up that. That's what I think. That's just me.
I actually agree with you there, because look at the quality of all these shows. I mean, you watched all the trailers, I assume, for like Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
We have to talk about Loki.
These are MCU Hollywood level productions for a television series. So they could have easily done that. I agree.
Dude, absolutely. But what was striking from this is that there was no Captain Marvel 2. There was none of that. Which
they announced it, they just didn't show it.
Well, I didn't see anything of it, but that was just me. I didn't dig too much into it. But the Fantastic Four...
they announced it on Twitter.
Okay, that's
it's coming in 2022, and they announced that Ms. Marvel is going to be in it.
That's right. You're right. I did read that. It's in one of these.
By the way, going off on a little bit of a tangent, because there's way too much Disney Plus shit to talk about, I watched the tiny little clip for Ms. Marvel that they showed, and you know what? I was afraid she was going to look too young, but she actually looks okay.
Yeah, she does, dude.
She looks fine.
She plays it good, and she also looks like she's right in that age where a couple seasons down the road she'll look older. So I think they casted a perfect age person. I think they did good, man.
Tatiana Maslany was confirmed as She-Hulk, and we got a tiny little clip of Haley Steinfeld as Hawkeye, which, by the way, there's been leaks up and down with Haley Steinfeld in her Hawkeye uniform and everything.
Oh, yeah.
What else did they show? They showed clips from Loki, and oh my God, you watched that, right? The trailer for Loki?
So, yes, and did he not call out Thor in the Loki trailer?
I'm not sure, but what I do want to touch on is that final shot of President Loki, which was a comics thing in like 2017 or something.
Yes.
And I am so excited they're pulling that comic storyline in some form into the Loki show, because I laughed my ass off with happiness when I saw the President Loki thing.
Yes, dude. And then I love how they started off the trailer, which was the scene from Avengers Endgame. It was fantastic.
From Endgame, yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was so cool. But I mean, I asked around, and this is what I heard too. When Loki jumps out of the airplane, he says, "Brother, catch me," and that's when the Frostbite catches him.
Oh, no. He called out Heimdall before.
He called out who?
Heimdall.
Oh, dude, I was looking around.
Yeah, there was a really quick thing where he was like, Heimdall something, and then he goes, "Brother, catch me," or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did name drop Heimdall, so I think, which is weird, because why would he call Heimdall brother? But
right, well, see, that's what threw me off. So I thought maybe he was just calling to Heimdall because he was going to go out and get him, and then he said, "Brother, catch me!" And that's where I was like, "Holy shit, are we going to get like a Thor in Loki?" Because they do have him. Well, because they got Chris Hemsworth doing that National Geographic show.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
I know we're going to do
with all these new Disney Plus series is coming out, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, Ms. Marvel, whatever. Yeah. It's clear to me that they are absolutely going all in with crossovers now between the movies and the television shows. So if Thor shows up in Loki, that's not going to surprise me one bit.
Well, no, and that's where I was saying that I feel like they're effectively just trying to, at least for the next 5 to 6 years, killing off their theater business, because they're going to tell these long weaving stories over the next year or two with this. So they're going to, and I think this is how they're going to do it. They're going to tell these great stories with Loki and Winter and Falcon, all this kind of stuff for the next year or two, and then they're going to drop the movies in theaters. And that's how they're going to win everybody back. And that's Disney's
No, that's exactly what I think is happening, and I think you're 100% right. Because with the first two phases of the MCU, you had the movies. The movies were the thing that introduced characters. The movies were the thing that everyone waited for, that progressed the story. And what you had was tiny little call-outs and Easter eggs in the TV shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, whatever. I think they're flip-flopping that now. You're now going to have your Disney Plus series as the spear that pushes everything forward. Yeah. And then your movies are going to come out, I don't know, once a year, once every 2 years, twice a year. And your movies are now going to be your quote-unquote Easter egg call-outs to the main, television series. They basically flip-flopped their strategy, is what I'm trying to say.
And I love it, because if you're going to start phase 4, why not do it differently? Do something completely different and change the game. And that's where I like it.
Agreed.
But that's also where I said I still feel like they're effectively kind of killing off the movie theater market, at least for a while. And people can hate or whatever they want, but and we've talked about this before, the one thing that I've loved more than anything is going to a theater. Sitting down, having popcorn.
Too. Love it. Yep.
You know, when I travel for work, man, if I need, that's just what I did. I didn't care what it was. I saw every single thing in theaters. I miss theaters with a passion. I miss going with my family. I just miss it, dude. Like that's the one thing I would love to have back. But
I did too. That's why I bought that bias lighting for my TV, the immersion lighting. It's because, you know, I know theaters don't do that, but it's like one extra thing to make me sitting on my couch watching a movie feel more like being in a theater.
Right, dude. And that's why, like, I invested last year into the bigger screen TV and just kind of did all this stuff because I felt like I needed to. And so it's just going to take a lot to get me back into theaters.
It will.
And what I like, and this is where, you know, again, conspiracy theory thinking here, Disney dropping this stuff on Disney Plus is going to give people more time to invest in their stories. So you're going to double, triple, quadruple your fan base by just releasing Loki on Disney Plus in your house. Because, like, I made the joke, I was like, dude, honestly, at this point, you can get food, weed, theater quality movies, and alcohol delivered to your house. Like, why does anybody ever need to leave unless you just need social interaction? Like, what's the point now?
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm just hoping now, so, dude, I think, again, Disney Plus, everything that they announced, and we can go over it a long time. There's only one more thing I really want to touch on that kind of struck me as, like, dude, we're finally kind of moving forward.
I'm not in any rush.
Yeah, me neither. Two things. The casting of The Little Mermaid, I think, is freaking awesome.
Oh yes. I completely forgot about that. So I'm looking at the cast, and this is why I'm so sad for humanity right now. I saw the tweet, I looked at the cast, and I went, I bet if I go on Twitter right now, I'm gonna see a bunch of racist shit.
100%.
And sure as shit, I was right.
Dude,
you know what my daughter said when I showed her the cast?
What?
My daughter's 8. Okay, she's fucking 8 years old. My son is 7. These are children. These are kids who. And I don't mean just kids as in my kids. I mean kids of this age group in general. Mm-hmm. If they grew up watching the Little Mermaid cartoon, they're going to wonder why Ariel doesn't look like that. That's a given. It's not a race thing. It's just, you know, this is what they're used to. So they're going to wonder why Ariel looks different. You know, it is what it is. My daughter took one look at the casting and went, I can't fucking wait to see that.
I love the fact that your daughter says fucking.
She didn't, but we do have an agreement, and my ex is on board with this too. If she wants to listen to a song and it cusses, if she wants to watch a movie and there's a lot of cursing and there's a lot of violence, we're cool with that, as long as she understands, hey, you can't pull out fuck in the middle of your distance learning in class.
Well, words are words, and they only have as much power.
And you understand the stuff you're watching is not real. As long as she gets that, we're cool.
Absolutely.
Know, I don't care. We watched The Breakfast Club 2 weeks ago.
Good movie.
My kids and I, they love that movie. They want to watch it again. You know, I don't care that Bender is a foul mouth. You know,
who cares?
Yeah. And my daughter will still come up to me right now, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, I saw this new video on Twitter with Harley Quinn, and just so you know, it has the F word in it." I was like, "Okay, cool, enjoy."
See, I can't do that. Like, they can watch movies or like whatever, a little bit of cussing here and there, but yeah, I can't do the Harley Quinn with them yet. So we got to wait on that one.
No, not the ones from the movies. Like, she saw some like Gotcha Life animation with Harley Quinn. Yeah.
Well, dude, I think that's.
But anyways,
dope, well, no, I like the fact that she looked at that.
On because we are 40 minutes into this, dude.
Oh,
we've only covered the first thing.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, so I told you, man. Disney Plus, dude. It was all Disney Plus.
Yep. But that's the big news, and that just dropped too. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the shit on our episode notes is like a month old, but you know, so we'll move on. The next big thing is all this Spider-Man news, because none of it comes as a shock. But this first thing I want to touch on is, you know, we know Toby and Andrew Garfield and Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx and, you know, probably Kirsten Dunst. They're all coming back. I mean, we are very clearly getting a live-action Spider-Verse now. It's not a theory anymore. This is happening. But the thing I want to touch on is this first thing, that we could potentially have 5 Spider-Men in the movie. Not just the 3 Peter Parkers, but they also mentioned Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2099, which is very, very interesting to me, because Spider-Man 2099 is one of those characters that only the hardcore fans know. That's not a character like a Miles Morales or a Gwen Stacy that, you know, the general public knows. I mean, you say Spider-Man 2099 to, I don't know, my grandmother, and she'll be like, what?
Dude, most people you bring it up, they're not going to know. I know Spider-Man 2099.
So why are they doing Spider-Man 2099?
Why not? I think.
Why not bring Gwen Stacy?
They might. I mean, I think the Spider-Man 2099 is dope because you can have a lot of fun with that character. The costume is sick. I actually have Spider-Man 2099 issues 1 and 2.
Nice. I have his first appearance as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a chrome cover comic book of Spider-Man when his first release, and like I don't know, I got a bunch of cool Spider-Man stuff. But the 2099 is kind of what pushed me into getting more into Spider-Man, as opposed to him being just like, oh look, he shoots web. It kind of gave it this cool, dope ass futuristic story. So
like the cyberpunk feel,
right? Like I think that'd be kind of cool. Plus, you can just kind of green screen somebody on it because it really is that futuristic cyberpunk look. So that would be cool, but. Off of this right here, I'm 99.9% sure that Toby Maguire is going to be in Spider-Man 3 because on December 9th, there were pictures of him out at a Hollywood suit shop, the same shoot shop where Andrew Garfield was at, and the same suit shop where Tom Holland was at, getting fitted for Spider-Man.
Oh, I didn't. I saw you added it to the notes, and I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
At first, I thought you were gonna make some comment about how he's like old and fat now.
No. But like he looked. But when he got out of the car, he legit looked like Toby Maguire from Spider-Man 3. Just had a long night. Like that's what he looked like. He didn't look, and he had his mask on or whatever it was. But somebody just got a bunch of pictures of him. But it's the same shop where Andrew Garfield was spotted at, and Tom Holland gets the Spider-Man suit. So, which leads me to believe that he's gonna be there, and it was all over the place. So, I mean. Why else would he be there? And he looked to be in decent shape. So,
did you hear the theory? And I got to interrupt with this because it's not written down and I just thought of it. Did you hear the theory that Tobey Maguire will actually not return as Peter Parker, but he will return as the MCU realities version of Uncle Ben?
That is
Tom Holland's Uncle Ben.
Why would they do that?
That would be crazy. In a kind of a cool way, but no, I don't think they're going to do it. I think he's going to come back as Peter Parker for sure. But how crazy would it be if in the MCU reality there was a version of Ben Parker, but it was Tobey Maguire?
That would be so freaking weird. Like, I don't think I would I don't know if I could do that because I don't want to have Tobey Maguire die. Like, that's just what I don't want to have to watch.
Well, it's kind of like on the Flash TV show where the actor that plays Grant Gustin's father is the 90s Flash, and then he comes back as the 90s Flash later.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do it. You would only do it so you can get kind of a chuckle out of it. That's why people would do it.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like a post-credit haha type thing.
That would be the only reason it would be there. Just to be like, ha 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 ha, But I don't really... Yep. I mean, if you're going to bring in Tobey Maguire, you got to bring in Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. As Peter Parker.
Absolutely.
But fuck, how about this? Now we know that Alfred Molina is coming back as Doc Ock.
I think that's dope.
We have Doc Ock and Electro now.
Yes, because Doc Ock was dope in Spider-Man 2, which I just recently watched about a month ago. He was great. Alfred Molina is a good actor, so I think he's going to be great in that. But we've got Doc Ock, we've got Electro, we've got Michael Keaton as Vulture, who is going to show up. So we've got half of the...
We got Scorpion.
Yeah, we've got Scorpion. We've got 4 of the Sinister Six.
Yep.
How much do you want to bet?
Yep.
How much do you want to bet in the next month we're going to hear either James Franco or Willem Dafoe has been cast?
It's funny that you say that because I was telling my kids about all this news because we've all seen all the Spider-Man movies together. Mm-hmm. And the first thing out of my daughter's mouth was, okay, and who's going to be Harry? Because she really likes the Harry from the Raimi trilogy. And, we all do. I mean, James Franco was dope as Harry. And, nothing against Dane DeHaan. I thought his Harry was cool, too. I like the kind of creepy-looking Harry.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I need James Franco back as Harry, dude.
Yes. I need more James Franco in my life.
Yeah.
Especially
now.
I mean, exactly. I mean, not his weird, creepy, sexual predator James Franco, but just like James Franco. Like James Franco from The Interview just asking me to be his precious. That's what I want, you know? I want Pineapple Express James Franco. Dude, I think it's dope, man. I really like what they're doing, and it just shows that again, that Marvel, Sony, and they're all just putting their money into the Spider-Man verse because you got Spider-Man. We know Doctor Strange is going to be in this movie. I mean, I think that this is. I mean, they haven't announced a release date, right?
No, I think the only thing they quote announced was 2022. But does Venom show up? Does Tom Hardy show up?
Well,
Sony owns all the properties.
We do know that Daredevil's going to show up. So I mean,
yes. Oh, yes. That was the last thing on our thing. Yeah. I fucking love it. This is the thing. I know. This is the thing I've wanted since. We've mentioned it tons of times on the show.
Yes.
This is the thing I've wanted since Far From Home came out in the theaters.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I want fucking Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock as Peter Parker's lawyer. We don't know that that's the role he's going to play, the lawyer, but we do know Charlie Cox is coming as Matt Murdock.
Of course he's going to play his lawyer, because at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, when they call out, Spider-Man's Peter Parker, Spider-Man needs a lawyer.
Yep. And now, does he show up as Daredevil? Because they have a great relationship in the comics.
Well, probably not at first.
Seeing them together on the screen is great.
Oh, yeah. I'm stoked, man. But see, again, now this is going to open up a door for, are we going to get Kingpin in Hell's Kitchen now? Are we going to get a Vincent D'Onofrio? Because he's the only one who's left alive. And that's what we need. If you're going to bring in Kingpin, you bring in Vincent from a TV show. Not only because people know him, but because he was the Kingpin. He beat a man's head in with the car door. Like, what do you do? That's it. He is Kingpin.
He was the guy that people feared so much that guy impaled his own head on a spike in the first episode just to not have to deal with him.
Yes, dude, he's just he has that massive hulking presence of just like, don't fuck with this guy. So,
but it's like a realistic big. It's not like a Michael Clark Duncan, almost not a human big.
Yeah, it's just
no offense to him, but Michael Clark Duncan was like a once in a generation type of physical
R.I.P.D.
presence. Yeah, but Vincent D'Onofrio's big, quote unquote, is a realistic, believable big. Now. Here's the thing. Do we eventually see Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist in some capacity? Not in Spider-Man, but in future Marvel movies.
I'm willing to bet we'll get Jessica Jones.
Or Punisher.
See, I don't think so. I think this is just me, but I think Daredevil was the one that launched everything on Netflix, and everything that followed it was just okay at best. That's not a knock on Punisher, or anything else, but Daredevil was the one. Punisher was good, but it wasn't no Daredevil. Same with Luke Cage.
Jessica Jones was my second favorite, because that first season of Jessica Jones was so fucking good.
And that's the one everybody else talks about. Daredevil, Jessica Jones. No disrespect to Luke Cage.
I liked Iron Fist, man. I don't care what anyone else says. I liked Iron Fist.
Well, we're not going to bring back Iron Fist just for you, man.
No, I know, and everyone else can suck my dick, but I liked Iron Fist. I understand why it came out so shitty. I feel bad for Finn Jones and what he had to deal with to play that role, but I fucking liked it just because I liked the character so much from the comics. It was just cool to see him live action.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that, but they're going to put their money where they can get the most out of it. So, man,
of course, which is Daredevil.
Yeah, absolutely, because Daredevil is a name too. Like, I mean, the Punisher became a name recently because of Joe Bernthal playing Punisher on Daredevil, not because people loved the Tom Jane movie and were clamoring for more Daredevil, for more Punisher. So, I mean, that's why he got so good. So, I mean,
I still see Mike Magnon as John Bernthal every time I have to be in a meeting with him.
Dude, that's true. He does. He really does.
Every time I see him, I'm just like, okay, I'm talking to Shane and I'm talking to the Punisher.
That's pretty funny. I still think, I will say right now, Tom Jane is still the best Punisher. And I will fight anybody any day to defend.
Dolph Lundgren?
No, and I will defend the movie The Punisher. No, Dolph Lundgren is He-Man. I'll give him that, but he ain't nobody else.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Masters of the Universe.
Just what I watched it last night. With Frank Langella was phenomenal as Skeletor, too. He looked like he's having a great time.
Dude.
Anyways,
they need to do a 4K release of that.
They do. I got it on Blu-ray. It looks great. I don't understand why Dolph Lundgren is so shiny all the time. Like, I know that you're supposed to look muscular, but you come on, you're too shiny.
Because he's Dolph Lundgren.
I guess so. You got
He showed up in an episode of Top Gear. You know how they did an American Top Gear?
Yeah.
Okay, so he showed up as the quote secret celebrity guest that they had to pick up. And he looked, even there, when he's not on a movie set, when he's not under a bunch of special effects or makeup and everything, he still walked out of the car and he looked like fucking Dolph Lundgren from all the movies.
He just looks like the Russian.
He just looks like the Russian, yeah. He looks exactly like that, even at his age now. Even in that fucking Imagine Dragons video, he looks exactly like he should.
Dolph Lundgren has aged very well.
He has, and I'm jealous because I'm 39 and I've already aged very poorly from when I was 20.
Well, Dolph Lundgren has had a lot of work done. A lot of work. I think his face is 92% plastic at this point. But it looks great.
Shit.
I'll never tell him that to his face, though, because he will kill me.
No. I mean, I'm surprised he's not punching you right now through the screen.
Did you hear the story about the people who broke into his house and then saw the pictures of Dolph Lundgren and then put everything back and left?
No, but that's fucking fantastic, and
I
that's
guess they broke in
quite possibly the best story I've ever heard.
And then Dolph Lundgren came out the next day and was like, "Yeah, people broke in, but they didn't take anything." And they're like, "Yeah, well, we saw the fucking pictures, man, and put it back." Like, it's Dolph Lundgren. You don't steal from Dolph Lundgren, dude. Like, that's funny.
Oh,
that's funny
my
as shit.
God.
You don't steal from Dolph Lundgren.
You have no idea how happy that story makes me.
Oh, that's great. That is fantastic. Oh, dude. Well,
since we talked about all the Disney and Marvel news, let's instead of moving on to the WB news, let's talk about Deadpool 3.
Yeah, perfect. That's where I saw we're at. So let's do it.
Now, Deadpool 3. We knew it was going to happen, but we didn't know in what capacity. Just because Deadpool is such a filthy movie compared to the rest of Disney's MCU.
Yeah.
Even Logan. The two of those are kind of in their own thing, and you can't really. They're not family friendly, for lack of a better term. But
not at all.
But hey, looks like Deadpool 3 is moving forward. As we hope it will. Not some watered down PG-13 version of. So that's good news.
I don't think they'll give us a watered down version of it, just because when you have a name like Ryan Reynolds who took a chance and did this, you don't want to do that. And unless, and I could be wrong, they look at the success of Deadpool 2. The holiday edition that was PG-13, which I think is stupid. But so many people saw that version when they released it, so I don't know.
No, I think it'll be exactly the same. I mean, if you look at the article, it looks like the tone of the movies is, even though there's going to be a different writers and probably a different director.
Oh yeah,
it looks like they're maintaining the tone, and they did note that the third installment is going to be R-rated, so we're good.
Yeah, but I hope they give us a good R rating.
That's true. They could just be like, oh, we need to make this R rated and have a shitty story, but with a ton of absurd cursing and stuff like that. That wouldn't make a good movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could just say
least,
2 fucks and get an R rating. So I mean,
exactly.
What kind of R rating are they going to give us? Because if I don't get Ryan Reynolds dropping the C word, I got a problem.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. Dude, it's dusty out here in this garage, man. And I took a sip of water a few minutes ago and it went down the wrong drinking tube. So I've been sitting here trying not to die on this podcast. I will say, though...
if you're going to die, it might as well be while you're on the phone with someone.
That's what I'm saying. Go out live on air, guys. Here it is. Dude, I'm kind of happy because I like Ryan Reynolds. I've always kind of liked Ryan Reynolds. I think I don't think he's great, but I think he plays whatever role he's supposed to play well. I really liked him in the Hitman's Bodyguard.
He's great in roles like Deadpool or Waiting. Waiting's one of my favorite Ryan Reynolds movies. He's great in those types of roles, but is he ever going to win an Oscar? Probably not.
Well, I think the action comedy is that's his forte. Did you ever see the Hitman's Bodyguard with him and Samuel L. Jackson?
No, I totally wanted to, but then I forgot that was even
people
a thing.
shit on that movie. They're making a sequel. I think it's great. It's
really?
It is. It's kind of like a Nick Fury Deadpool rated R movie. You just gotta watch it, man. It's good. I really, really liked it. I watched it on an airplane.
I like both actors, and I like both actors, and it looks like the type of absurd shit I like. So,
and it's cool to see Samuel L. Jackson, even though he's playing like an older character, because he's Samuel L. Jackson, he's old, but like to be able to cuss and live it up and just have fun. Selma Hayek, it's a good movie, man. Watch it. I've seen it. It's good. Hitman's Bodyguard.
That's the other guy. I would imagine if someone broke into his house and they saw that it was him who lived there, they would just leave. It would be Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes. Oh my God, dude.
It would be like, oh shit, we just broke into Shaft's house. We gotta go.
Exactly. Have you seen those stupid ass Capital One commercials with John Travolta as Santa Claus and Samuel L. Jackson is the one who answers the phone?
Of course.
Yeah. The commercials are fucking terrible, but I want that shirt that says Merry Christmas with cheese, and it's a picture of a cheeseburger. It's from Pulp Fiction, but it's Merry Christmas with cheese. Those commercials are stupid as shit, and I lost all respect for John Travolta, but damn, I want that shirt.
I lost all respect for John Travolta when Battlefield Earth came out. But I'll still watch his movies.
Dude, if you have...
And I'll still watch Grease.
You've got to see The Fanatic with John Travolta.
You know what? Is that the movie you and Sean at work were telling me about way back in the day?
Yes. It's written and directed by Fred Durst, and it's got Devon Sawa in it.
Wait, that is for sure it, because I remember being as shocked when I heard that then as I am now.
Did you know the movie The Long Shots, the Disney movie starring Ice Cube, was directed by Fred Durst?
No, I didn't. First of all, I didn't know Fred Durst directed anything.
Yep.
So this is all coming as a shock to me.
I think he's only made like 6 movies.
That's 6 more than I've done.
Yeah, he did do The Long Shots, that Ice Cube movie. He also did Population 436.
Wow.
And The Education of Charlie Banks.
You know way too much about Fred Durst's directorial filmography.
Well, did you ever see The Education of Charlie Banks? That one was actually not bad. That one had Jesse Eisenberg and Jason Ritter and stuff in it. Yeah, that one too.
Oh, wow. There was a guy. When I was at UC Davis, this was in like 1999, 2000, when Limp Bizkit was at their absolute peak.
Yeah,
there was a guy that worked at the student union where I used to get my sandwich every day, who fucking thought he was Fred Durst.
Oh God,
he dressed like him. He had the red hat and everything like that, and you can just tell this guy jerks off to Fred Durst every day.
It was the most. It's amazing. I feel like almost every.
This guy for sure thought he was Fred Durst.
That's sad. Like. Yeah, that's sad, dude. But that was a crazy time for music, because that's when you had like Korn and Deftones and
the whole metal rap, the metal rap thing,
that new metal. Because you had Method Man was on Limp Bizkit CDs, and it's crazy. It's a crazy time for music. Jennifer Aniston was
Bizkit CD. That's sad.
I had them all, man. I still play Rollin' when I'm at the gym, man. Sometimes you just gotta rolling.
Yeah, but that was the Undertaker's theme. That's different.
Oh yeah, that was the Undertaker's theme. Oh man, that was a dark period in wrestling.
So was a Kid Rock song. Yeah.
Oh yeah, American Badass. Man, fuck Kid Rock too. I'm sorry, he was a nice guy, but fuck him.
Yep.
All right, man. What's up next? What do we got?
Yeah, let's talk about the WB HBO Max thing now. So it was announced, 2-3 weeks ago, that all of WB's 2021 slated movies are going to release concurrently in theaters and on HBO Max. Presumably in 4K HDR finally, because Wonder Woman is kicking that off. Yep. So I would imagine everything else coming after will also be that. That's a huge piece of news. I mean, because you have Disney, okay, who's doing Disney Plus, and they did the thing with Mulan with the premiere access for $29.99 to view it, and they're doing that again with their new movie. What was it called, Rava or Ravi or something?
Yeah, I think so.
They're doing premiere access with that as well. So you have Disney on the one end, who's doing their big releases. Some of them for free, like Soul. Some of them through premiere access, like that Rava movie. And then you have HBO Max and Warner Brothers, who are just like, nope, we're putting everything out on HBO.
Yeah.
You want to go see it in the theaters? Go see it in the theaters. But you can also watch it from the comfort of your own home. Before we continue on this, I watched Mulan with my kids the other day, and it was actually pretty fucking good.
Okay.
Because it's free now.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch it. Like, I mean, I liked Mulan, the movie, but if you take out all the fun stuff, I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, there's no Mushu, there's no cricket, there's no music. But as a more straight-laced, serious biopic, it was pretty good. I wasn't mad that I lost 2 hours of my life. It was worth it to me to watch it for free. I would not have paid $30 for it for sure.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man.
But it was decent. I would give it a solid C+. It was good for what it was.
Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad. I'm gonna have to check it out then, because I mean, it looks like it'll be visually
it wasn't
pretty.
Bad. Plus, it turns out Jason Scott Lee plays Bori Khan, and I did not know that was Jason Scott Lee.
Ooh,
fucking Bruce Lee and Mowgli.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay.
All right, I'll have to check it out.
Bruce Lee.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, so it wasn't that terrible, but yeah, WB adding all their movies to HBO Max, right there. Even if they said, hey, we're not doing 4K still for Wonder Woman and all that, if they announced we're doing all our major theater releases also on HBO Max, and you're not going to have to pay anything extra, right there, my HBO Max subscription is worth it. easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was already worth it with fucking Fresh Prince and Friends and, Westworld and all that. But right there, wow, did I get some gnarly value with my subscription.
Dude, I mean, even just getting Wonder Woman in 4K on Christmas Day, that's worth the subscription for me anyways.
That's what I'll be doing on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Dude, well, what I like is that WB doing this is that they're, again, giving people a chance who can't go to the theaters or who just choose not to go to the theaters. But... yeah. It's like, oh my God, they're not going to make much money. I think that this right here is going to be...
can't right now anyways in California.
Well, I think this right here is going to be a test for them going forward on how to release other movies. Because do you want to get everybody to pay $12 to $15 up front one time to see your movie? Or pay $9 a month every single month and you keep them for a year? You're going to make more money. So I think this is their plan. And
that's the same argument with Game Pass.
Absolutely. And I think that if this succeeds, we're going to see this more going forward. Because, like, if theaters open up and, if theaters open back up or whatever it is in other states and we're out to do things and I'm traveling and everything's safe and The Matrix 4 is playing in theaters and it's on HBO Max, I'll go see it in theaters if I'm out on the road. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter to me. But, like, but I can also watch it on HBO Max. So I think that this is dope. Dude, I'm so stoked. And if you look at the amount of movies that they're releasing and what the actual titles of them are and everything, it's good stuff. And it's kind of cool.
I'm so fucking excited for Matrix 4, even though Matrix Revolutions was hot shit.
Yeah.
I'm still a huge Matrix fan. I mean, that universe that they built. I'm probably the only person that played the Matrix online for that many hours. I easily put 100 hours into that. And that was a horrible game too. Yeah. So that entire universe I love, and I'm so glad they're making a fourth one. I don't know how the hell Neo's coming back, but he's back.
Right. So. He's back, and they were filming it in Frisco before shutdowns and stuff happened. Yeah. So I think it's going to be cool, man. And I like the fact that they're doing this because, again, they're going to make their money the same thing that Netflix does, because for every one or two good movies that Warner Brothers or whoever's going to drop in theaters, there's 10 to 15 shitty ones that they're releasing out too that no one's going to see that they're losing money on. So this way,
correct,
everything gets out, everybody sees everything, and then you still make all your money, and then you come back in 2022 and you see what Disney does, and you kind of go from there, because this is a good Band-Aid for them for 2021, which also, in my head, leads me to believe that things aren't going to be going back to a great normal, at least until 2022, which is fine, whatever. But it's great that they're doing this. It's cool. It gives everybody the option. And, dude, I'm excited. And, again, I think this will effectively slowly kill the theater business.
I'm super happy that I get to watch all these from the comfort of my own home. I mean, one of the movies I was most looking forward to this last year was Tenet, and I still haven't been able to see that yet.
Yeah, me neither.
So, I mean, I heard good things about it. It's just, with the pandemic, it didn't do as well. So, it is what it is. But I'm still looking forward to seeing that. Well, I am super stoked.
Me too. And I think it's going to be a game of chess between Warner Brothers and Disney, because it's going to be, our game of chicken. Who's going to be the first to budge? Who's going to be the first to change course? And we're going to start to see this. And then I guarantee you in the next, 3 months, 90 days less, Netflix is going to announce some huge shit they have coming out. And then we're going to see some other stuff coming out from, I was going to say Hulu, but they already announced all the stuff for Hulu and FX. So it's owned by Disney. So,
Netflix was the first to do it, dude. Netflix doesn't really have to announce anything. They were the first to have Hollywood production movies on a streaming service. Right. You have movies like fucking that one with Chris Hemsworth, Extraction. You have The Old Guard. You have Enola Holmes. Yeah. All of these could have been Hollywood movies in theaters,
Well, and I think that Netflix is going to announce, like, hey, here's what's coming up, because they're going to have to compete with HBO and Disney Plus in 2021. And while I love Netflix, how they're losing The Office. There's other things like Peacock, Friends is on HBO Max.
But they got The Queen's Gambit, and that show is so good.
Yeah, but I didn't watch it. I'm like, it doesn't seem like something for me. But I mean, so Netflix is going to start dropping out stuff, because again, for every one or two good things Netflix does, there's 50 shitty things that nobody cares about.
Exactly. So let's talk about the movie theater industry's response to that, because AMC and Regal, we knew this was going to happen. They already threw a shit fit with Universal, when they said they weren't going to. So we knew they were going to be mad about this. And you know what? You can't even be upset at AMC and Regal being upset, because it makes sense. Why wouldn't they be upset? A huge chunk of their business just got taken away.
Right.
And they're scrambling.
Right. And that's where I'm saying it seems like they're killing these industries, because how is AMC, how is Regal, how is Cinemark going to continue on, the next year? And so I'm hoping, and I don't want to sound rude here, but I'm hoping that we start to see a shift and a change in these theaters where it's no longer, hey, I just spent $100 to go watch The Croods in theaters with my family, to, hey, I spent $25 and me and my family went and saw a movie and we had some popcorn. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm hoping that we see that pivot where these things don't become so expensive, where a day at Disneyland is almost as much as taking your family to a movie. And that's where it becomes...
I really liked what theaters were doing with like the AMC monthly pass, where you pay like, what was it, like $20 a month, and you got to see like 5 movies.
Yeah.
Anytime you wanted, and you got X% discount on your... I think if movie theaters shift to a subscription service like that, they could potentially survive. But, it's hard for me to feel bad for AMC and Regal when you have all these small businesses like restaurants and stuff having to shutter because of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
I order from my favorite poke bowl place twice a week, just because I was like, I feel like it's my duty to keep them afloat. I know I'm not the only one that orders from them. Also because I fucking love poke bowls.
Absolutely. Well, you got to support.
But I feel like it's my duty to order from them just to keep them afloat during this time, because you know what? They can't have indoor dining anymore. Right. And no one's going to eat outdoors right now because it's fucking pouring rain.
Right. Well, that's where like the local cinemas that we have, like the Vine, that serves beer and wine, and ticket prices are $6.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I want to support, and that's who I want to make the money. Like, sorry, I'm with you, Cinemark and AMC and stuff. You guys have been doing this for a long time, making a lot of money. You've got to be able to pivot and adapt. And there's a reason, and it sucks, but you have to right now, especially now. And you can't just say, well, I'm not going to change and adapt. Everybody needs to go back to where it was, because it's not.
Because it ain't happening.
Right. And you've got to change and overcome and adapt. And that's why we'll do the same thing. Local restaurants downtown, if they've overcome and they found ways to get us food, then we'll help them out, man. We'll do what we have to do.
Yeah, I'll always order on my weekends. I'll order from my poke place. I'll order from First Street Ale House over Burger King any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Burger King's going to be fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If their shareholders get one less yacht this year, boo.
Yeah, y'all can suck a dick. Hey, before we move on, I have to take a bathroom break.
All right.
I have to tinkle.
Sounds good. I'll go refill my water and stretch and do all that good stuff.
All right,
so,
cool.
Folks, we'll be back.
Be right back.
All right, and we are back, which is funny that I say that, because when I edit this, it's all going to be instantaneous anyways.
Yeah, suckers. You don't know what we do behind the scenes.
But this next thing we're not going to spend a whole ton of time on. It's more just an interesting blurb than anything else. You see a guy like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans, and you see how big they got for their MCU roles, and you're like, yeah, these guys are really huge. They're really ripped and whatnot. And then you see a picture of Chris Hemsworth, twice as big as he was in Thor.
Yeah.
To play Hulk Hogan, and he's like 10 times as ripped, and you're like, what the fuck? Holy shit. Yeah. Even Hulk Hogan himself was like, oh my God, brother.
Oh boy, I tell you what, that's crazy.
Did you see the picture?
Yes, I did. And his veins had muscles. It's insane. I give Chris Hemsworth all the props, because you and me, you had made the joke in a text to me where you were like, man, you just watched him in Star Trek and he was just the little Kirk, and then all of a sudden he's fucking Thor. Yeah. How did that happen? Like, it was so quick. But this is what's crazy is that excuse me, I am excited for this for 2 reasons. One, I think that Chris
This is the one Bischoff is producing, right?
I think so. And Chris Hemsworth doesn't get the respect he deserves for being an actor. And I'm just, this is just my personal opinion, but I think that he is great as Thor. I think he has great comedic timing. I think he helped hold the Ghostbusters female movie together. Mm-hmm. I think his humor is great in Thor. But he can also be a dramatic actor if you look at Extraction, or you look at him, was it Moby Dick that he played, where the dude lost like 70 pounds, almost 80 pounds to play the part, searching for the whale and everything. The Ron Howard directed movie.
I didn't even know that movie existed.
Yeah, dude, it's a Ron Howard movie. It wasn't a very good movie, but he lost all this weight and dropped down for it. He also did a race car movie.
Here you are talking about a Moby Dick movie, one of the most incredible books ever written. And you're like, yeah, he was in a Moby Dick movie. It was directed by Ron Howard. And the only experience, and the only recent experience I've had with Moby Dick is telling my kids the joke. What's Moby Dick's dad's name? Papa Boner. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, it's womp womp. I'm just kidding. That's actually fucking hilarious.
Oh man,
that's okay. I like that one. I'm sorry, but that's good. That was good.
Anyways,
but Chris Hemsworth though, man, he's a good actor, and I feel like he can kind of bring this Hulk Hogan movie together. I'm also hoping they don't shy away from the racism or the sex tape, because that's the stuff that
I don't need to see the sex tape again.
No, I want to see Chris Hemsworth all fat and bloated, burping because he had too many ribs. That's what I want to see. That's what I want, and I think he can do it.
You know what I just realized? I just admitted to watching the Hulk Hogan sex tape on air.
You did? And that's gross.
It was gross. I didn't want to see it, but it was like one of those I can't look away things.
You had to do it for journalistic purposes.
Pretty much. And you know, curiosity. I'm not going to lie. There was a part of me that was like, I wonder what this looks like. It can't be good. It's like when I watch a horror movie. It's, you know, sometimes you just gotta power through it. And I did.
Okay, yeah,
gross.
so I'm sorry. He played in the movie In the Heart of the Sea, and it was a recounting of the New England whaling ship sinking by the giant whale in 1820. It's the movie that inspired Moby Dick.
Got it. Okay, I have heard of that. I was like, when did they make a Moby Dick movie?
Yeah, so and Hemsworth lost like 70 something pounds for the movie, and done by Ron Howard and all that kind of stuff. But he gets overlooked when he plays these dramatic roles because he's just Thor. Yeah. But when you look at him in the vacation movies and everything else, so I'm excited. I think he's a great actor. I think he'd be able to knock this out of the park. So let's see what happens. But speaking of wrestling,
yes, let's do this because I haven't been keeping up and watching other than clips online. I still jump on 411 Mania pretty much weekly to catch up on stuff, but I spoiled it for you, and I apologize.
I'm still mad at you, fucker.
When Sting showed up in AEW, but you know, it's like we've come full circle. Sting is back. We have Sting and Tony Schiavone back on TNT.
Right, and
it's like I went back to 1998,
dude. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell this for everybody listening out there. I've been watching wrestling since I was 9. It's had to have been, I've been watching wrestling 25 years, man. Back when Diesel was Shawn Michaels' bodyguard and Bam Bam Bigelow was wrestling. I mean, it's been forever. I have not been this excited for a wrestling promotion or what's happening than I have been with AEW the past couple months, man. And it's because they've got young talent. They've been putting on matches, and I haven't religiously sat down and watched wrestling week by week in a long time because I just don't have the time, and it hasn't been interesting.
Yeah, same.
But AEW has put on a product every single week. I did not like FTR. You can go back and listen to the original podcast where I said, fuck the Revival, they're garbage. Whatever the hell I said about them. But watching them on AEW, I got nothing but respect for them. Same with these people like the Butcher and the Blade. And, you know, you were a huge watching New Japan Pro Wrestling and, you know, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and stuff like that. I wasn't really into that. So for me to see these matches like I watched on Wednesday night, Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley for the title, fucking blew my mind. Watching the Young Bucks put on these matches that I've never seen before against TH2, the Hybrid 2 or whatever the fuck they are. Like, seeing these things that these guys are doing has me excited for wrestling again. The fact that Sting is back and this kind of promotion with Tony Schiavone, it's being run by Tony Khan, yet it's being headlined by Chris Jericho and Jake Hager and Jon Moxley, all these people that WWE let go, and it breaks my heart that WWE took a character like Sting, a fucking legend like Sting, and just let him go. They didn't even offer him a legend deal.
Can you believe looking at Jon Moxley's body of work since he left WWE with what he did in New Japan with the G1 Climax and, you know, his work in AEW? Can you believe that the moment that ended the relationship between Dean Ambrose and WWE was over the term pooper scooper?
Wait, no, I didn't know that.
Okay, you have to go to Talk is Jericho and look at the episode of when Dean Ambrose first left before he joined AEW.
Yeah. I haven't listened to Jericho's podcast in a long time, so fill me in.
Me either, but this was like what, 2 years ago when it happened, or a year ago. Yeah. So anyways, he said it was over the phrase pooper scooper. It was on a Raw taping or something, and Vince came up to Dean Ambrose and he was like, hey buddy, I want you to say the term, this is worse than if I were to pick it up with a pooper scooper. It's gonna be great. And Dean Ambrose was like, I'm not saying that. My character would not say pooper scooper. And they got into this huge thing over it. And he said at that moment, he was like, yeah, I knew I was done here.
Dude, I hated what they did to him at the end with that stupid gas mask and getting shots and stuff. And dude, they took somebody like Moxley, who was a great worker, and put him to the side. Like, and that's what sucks. And so I am so happy for AEW. Like people like Santana and Ortiz, or Jake Hager, aka Jack Swagger, or who legit is a badass MMA fighter, and he's still kicking ass in AEW. Like, it's unbelievable, and they give these characters the free reign to do what they want to do. So Sting signed, and he showed up on their Wednesday night, the AEW Dynamite. Didn't say anything, just showed up, and it was fucking awesome. So
he
last
showed up
week,
exactly how he did back in the day when he became the Crow Sting.
Yeah.
Remember in WCW, he would just show up. He would like be in the rafters and shit.
Yes.
And then he would start showing up week after week, just pointing his bat at people.
Right. Well, this is what's crazy.
That was so awesome.
It was, and he showed up and he did this, and it's great. And there was a character that I'm a huge fan of, Darby Allin in AEW. I think this dude is great.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love Darby Allin.
Phenomenal. So last week, Sting shows up and he has the whole thing, and Sting gets on the ramp and he waves to the camera like he's saying hi. And I'm like, oh, Sting's never done that. But he goes into the ring, and Sting he's not in his Crow character. He's just Sting, and he's in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and he's got Cody Rhodes there, and
face paint on.
Dude, and he had a face paint on. He's like, Tony Schiavone, give me a hug. Come here, I haven't seen you. You got to give it to me. Give me it's Sting. And Tony Schiavone does it, and he leaves the ring, and Sting's having a good time, and he turns and he goes, it's very familiar being here, and some things never change. And he turned and pointed to Darby Allin while Cody Rhodes was in the ring.
Oh, nice.
And that's just how we left it. But it was just so cool to see Sting come back in and work with these younger talents, and put him in with a Darby Allin, or put him in there with Cody Rhodes, because if it wasn't for Cody's dad, there wouldn't be a Sting. You know what I mean? So it's like this full circle stuff that's coming in that just kind of warms your heart and makes me happy. And they got Miro, aka used to be Rusev, but Miro's over there now.
Yep.
And dude, I don't understand how Vince McMahon and Triple H and WWE let people go who have personality like Miro, or like a Chris Jericho.
I don't understand how Miro's gone, how Rusev's gone, but Lana's still there.
Because Lana is a tall, blonde woman who's scantily clad all over social media. Vince McMahon will never let her go.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, no offense to her. She works her ass off and everything else, but she can't wrestle. She can't work.
I don't know, though. He let Summer Rae go. He let Eva Marie go. They all sucked at wrestling, and they were gorgeous, too.
Yeah, but they also couldn't act. Like, they couldn't act. And like, what pisses me off is that Lana and these people can act and do all this kind of stuff, and so he keeps them. But you get legit badasses like a Shayna Baszler who just gets overlooked or just kind of pushed to the side.
Yes.
And it's just like, man, come on, this isn't 1985. What are we doing here? Like, this is just whack.
Well, there's always NXT where you have women like Rhea Ripley and Tony Storm and whatnot. Getting their they basically run NXT.
Well, yeah. Well, then you got someone like Candice LeRae who's over there who broke her arm in her last match. So, I think that you're seeing this difference, and WWE is just the Raw is dropping the ball on it. And you got Vince McMahon who's just old doing this stuff, and it's hard because AEW is taking these legends and these old school people in the ring, and they're letting them evolve and be somebody else, and yet WWE is showing us a Goldberg cutting a promo on Roman Reigns telling him he's next, and I'm like, awesome, it's 1999 again. This is exactly what I want to see.
Yep.
But it's
you have to come over sometime soon, because I purchased Wrestle Kingdom 11, 12, and 13, and you will see some of the greatest matches of your life on that. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 11. That show kicked off, and it just... Picture this in WWE and what a clusterfuck it would have been. There was a Four Corners tag match that kicked off Wrestle Kingdom 11. It was the Young Bucks. Excuse me. it was the Young Bucks. It was Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, Red Dragon.
Yeah.
So Young Bucks, Red Dragon. It was the Time Splitters, which is Kushida and Alex Shelley. And then Forever Hooligans. Who was in the... Anyways, it was a Russian and Cuban guy, I forgot. So it was those 4 teams in a 4 corners tag match with New Japan styled wrestling. Can you imagine, just in your head right now, having not seen it, how good that match already is?
Yeah, in my head, I want to watch it.
My God, Red Dragon, they were one of my favorite teams in New Japan, and as soon as it was announced that the 2 of them were going to NXT, I was like, okay, cool, at least it's NXT, but I knew it would never be as great as, whatever they did.
And it hasn't. And it hasn't been, but that's where I think WWE is going to shoot themselves in the foot, because WWE likes to live in their own quote unquote universe, the WWE universe, and nothing else exists outside of that, as opposed to AEW, which went off the air 2 Wednesdays ago with Kenny Omega beating Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title, and then running off with Don Callis saying, if you guys want to hear what's going on, tune into Impact Wrestling on Tuesday on Access TV to hear what's happening.
That's fucking insane.
And it's just like, and so then what did I do? I turned into Access TV to watch it, to see what was going to happen, to see the Kenny Omega promo, to see what they did, to hear Kenny Omega say, hey, you were friends with Ambrose back in the day, weren't you? Remember Tough Enough Season 1? To hear Kenny Omega reference Jon Moxley as Dean Ambrose in WWE. Like, I mean... Yet WWE
in an Impact ring,
on an Impact channel. And then Tony Khan cutting a commercial, being like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I paid for this, and I paid for Impact to be here tonight." I mean, technically, I could buy them if I want to, because I have so much. Like, just hearing that, and then thinking about WWE, which just lives in their own bubble. Like, they act like there's nothing else outside of them, and that's where the wrestling world loses sight of somebody like a Miro, like a Chris Jericho, like a fucking Sting. How do you not at least sign Sting to a Legends deal, have him do 1 match a year at WrestleMania, and let him sign autographs for 6 months?
I don't know. It's what happens when you have blinders on.
Right.
I mean, we see it everywhere,
And I hate to say this, but as long as Vince McMahon is still sitting there running everything and giving the final sign-off, it's what's going to happen. This is why NXT is better, because Triple H, he runs it, and he does it from his perspective because he's been there. He changes with the time. There's a reason why you see these smaller, quicker, high-speed, high-intensity, high-spot matches in NXT that you're not seeing on Raw and SmackDown, because Triple H knows what people want.
Just look at characters that jumped from Raw and SmackDown to NXT. Look at Emma. I talk about Emma a lot because she's one of my low-key favorite wrestlers. Look at her when she showed up as Dancing Emma.
Yeah.
Right? And then she was, quote, bumped down to NXT and had like match of the year with Paige.
Right.
And then they brought her back and then she left. And now she's an Impact as, Tenille doing her own thing, whatever. But she's just inside the company of WWE, just going from Raw and SmackDown to NXT. Look at the body of work that Emma did in NXT, Yeah. A lot of people forget her match with Paige was basically what kicked off the women's revolution.
Yeah. I mean, it was, because they put it fucking down. And it's crazy that there are there are female wrestlers who can put it down, and they bust their asses off and can put on legit matches, like a Bayley or a Sasha Banks, but they get pigeonholed into these shitty ass characters where they can't even speak their lines.
They end up in gravy matches or something.
Right. You have somebody like a Kevin Owens, who is so good in everything he does, or a Sami Zayn, and you pigeonhole them into these shitty, scripted, overdone, excuse me.
These cartoon roles.
Right, and it's just like, come on, man. Or Daniel Bryan, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You have these athletes like these guys who just kind of get pigeonholed into this shit, and it breaks my heart, because you get people like FTR who went over to AEW and are tearing it up, and you got the Young Bucks who are out there putting on matches. I text you and said, dude, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley 2 weeks ago put on a fucking 5-star match on free TV on TNT.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you told me about that, it's insane that there was a title match with a title, on the line, the title on the line on fucking Dynamite. You know how WWE does things. They're not going to give you a title match unless it's a pay-per-view.
And it changed hands and ended with a swerve with the runner running out saying, tune in next week on my competition's channel.
Yep.
And it's like, are you kidding me?
But so
no,
insane to me.
What do we get? We get Seth Rollins popping out Rey Mysterio's eyeball.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus. But long story short, dude, Sting joining AEW is huge. AEW, I think, is a great promotion. They're up and coming. If you're not watching them or you haven't, check them out. If you have Comcast or if you have the TNT app, you can watch old episodes or 90-minute formats. Check it out, man. It is great, and these dudes are out there busting their asses off, putting on just show after show after show, and it is so good. Give them a chance. To me, I look at it like supporting local as opposed to going to Target. You know what you're going to get at Target and Walmart and the price, but support your local. Check out AEW. See what they got, because I guarantee you this isn't WCW 2.0. This is a wrestling television revolution that's going to continue.
It kind of is WCW 2.0, but the best parts of it. It's like 1998 WCW 2.0, not the rest of the bullshit.
I mean,
it's like the best parts of WCW, the best parts of New Japan, and the best parts of like Ring of Honor and the Indies all rolled into like a big glitzy package. Yeah,
but what I think what sets it apart is, I think we've talked about this before, is the production value and the way it looks on my TV coming across. As opposed, WWF to me back in the day was very like gritty and grimy, and it was very like, this is dirty and raw, and WCW very overproduced with bright lights and very like shiny and dancing girls, and that's what they did, and I couldn't get into it. And AEW to me now is like the grimy, gritty, this is what we're shooting, this is raw, this is real, this is dope. And Raw is a very overproduced Thunderdome, lasers, AR, boo boo boo. It's like, man, I don't want that. I mean, I did for like 2 weeks. I wanted to check out the Thunderdome. Now I'm just like, man, just give me fucking wrestling, man. Just let me see some dope shit.
Yeah.
And then I guess
let's move on to a sadder thing, though.
Yeah.
Pat Patterson died. I mean, he wasn't young. I mean, I get it, but he's Pat Patterson. He was one of the Stooges back when wrestling was like on everyone's television set in the late 90s. He was the first Intercontinental Champion on that rainy day in Rio. They keep telling that story, which apparently didn't really happen, but whatever.
Didn't happen at all.
Didn't happen at all, but who cares? It's a good story. So, he was the first openly gay wrestler. In like a major promotion. I mean, this guy, it's Pat Patterson.
It is, and
my God.
And he did a lot, and I could sit here and talk good things about Pat Patterson, but we would also be remiss if we didn't mention the kind of dark side with the sexual abuse against him and everything else that happened for a very long time. But neither here nor there. His impact on the wrestling industry and just in general is massive, and he touched a lot of lives and changed a lot of lives that way and helped a lot of people. He also did a lot of bad things, but hey, we can look at the positive here. Same with Chris Benoit and everything else. So, but
we're not all saints. I mean, I'm not excusing it, but we're not all saints. I mean, I'm not.
But R.I.P. to the legacy and to everything that Pat Patterson stood for in the wrestling ring. With the title and his legacy going forward with WWE.
Yep. And if anything, he left us with the greatest quote ever, which is, "The crowd will go banana." Remember reading about that in Mick Foley's book? Yeah. How he couldn't get his plurals and singulars correct because he's originally French Canadian. So he told Mick Foley, if you do this, the crowd will go banana.
Oh my God, I forgot.
And I think Mick Foley countered with, "Are you saying they're gonna go nut?"
That's so good. Those are the stories, man.
I still hear people quote, like wrestlers quoting that. Like, when you watch like a behind the scenes NXT or something, you'll see like Bailey saying some shit like, and the crowd will go banana.
That's funny. That's good. I love it.
Let's move on to some gaming news. Now, some of this stuff we can blow through kind of quickly because I really want to talk about Cyberpunk. And, our last episode was a month ago, so we had just gotten our next-gen system. So we're a month into it now. We're like, 4 patches into these systems now? So we can talk about that as well. So let's really quickly go through some of these. Neil Druckmann finally got promoted.
About time.
I don't know why I said finally. It's not like it's something that he's been arguing or pushing for or anything, but you know, he was the art, or not the art director, the director for, you know, games like Uncharted, The Last of Us 2. So he got a little pay raise.
Which is good for him.
He's the vice president of Naughty Dog now.
I mean, he's been there for a very long time. There's been, you know, he's been one of those people who likes to, he likes to stay in touch with the fans. From what I've seen, you know, him on Twitter, he has no problem keeping people inside the loop. He also seems like somebody who we've heard stories about him, good and bad, but he also seems like somebody who is very quick to take the brunt of problems. You know, like I'll see him on Twitter kind of owning up to shit or talking about stuff or giving out props and stuff. Regardless of whatever I don't know, he has gifted us with some of the greatest stories in video games, in my opinion, at least.
He was very nice to me when I interviewed him back in the day.
There you go. Just like again, Kid Rock is a disgusting piece of shit, but he was so nice to me when I met him. So there you go. And exactly. Yeah, and you told the story about him before, how you know, he was just super nice to you being a nobody, and I think that the way you treat the people you don't know speaks volumes, and so I'm guessing and I guess it couldn't happen to a nicer person from what I get, and good for him, man. I'm hoping that he keeps pushing forward. I'm hoping we get another Uncharted game. I'm hoping that we get another Last of Us type game or
another
something.
Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, no, another Jak and Daxter. That would be so much fun. But I think that it's in good hands. It's well deserved. Good for you, man. Enjoy the money. Now give us a good PS5 upgrade for The Last of Us 2.
Yep. You know it's coming. I know they haven't announced it, but it's got to be coming. That game released way too close to the new generation to not eventually have some sort of upgrade. So, we'll see.
And to me too, and it looks like one of those games that like I was telling you, I turned the film grain off and everything on it when I played it, and it looks much nicer. But I think with a good crystal clear patch, it wouldn't take so much. It wouldn't have to be a huge patch for them to fix it because it's so well done anyways. I'm pretty sure they're going to have it out.
60 FPS patch is all I want.
Right, exactly. And I'm pretty sure we'll get it, hopefully as like a Christmas present or something that they'll release to us as like a surprise. So fingers crossed.
I don't understand all these games launching with the film grain filter. I mean, I guess a part of me is thankful you can turn most of them off, but why did I just spend $1,300 on a brand new Sony 4K Dolby Vision TV and then slap a thing of film grain on top of it? It doesn't make any sense to me. I've never liked playing a game with film grain. I always turn it off.
Yeah, I hate it.
Anyways,
to me, it walks out.
Neither here or there.
But for Neil Druckmann, I think that 2020, he's one of the few people who can say it's been a great year for him, because big props to one of my favorite games of this year, The Last of Us 2 won Game of the Year, and that's huge.
Yep.
It was coming down between, in my opinion, Ghosts and The Last of Us 2, but going back and playing more,
both so good.
They were, and I've been playing nothing but Ghosts these past couple weeks. It's just such a good game, and it's so beautiful, and I just want to get through it because I get into it, I get hooked on it. Dude,
especially on PS5 with the uncapped frame rate.
I know, it's so fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just The Last of Us Part 2, something about the story, something about the gripping tale of it, something about the emotional pull on it. It's just well done. The Abby character I liked. I mean, really, if you think about The Last of Us 2, it is 2 complete video games put into one. You got the story of Ellie and you got the story of Abby, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
It was a very ambitious project, and it's a beautiful game. So congratulations to Neil Druckmann, Naughty Dog, and The Last of Us 2, man. I mean, very well deserved.
And it pisses off all the assholes, which I like even more. Watching them get all hot and bothered on Twitter.
I know. Fuck them. I love it. Fucking love it.
Yep. Got my middle finger up right now. You guys can't see it, but it's up. It's up and proud. So
that's right. Fuck
here, let's move on. So a new 007 game is coming, and what's interesting about this is, other than GoldenEye, we haven't had any good 007 games. Everything or Nothing was probably the only other one that I can say was entertaining that I actually played through. I think it was for like the original Xbox, because they actually made it with Pierce Brosnan and Shannon Elizabeth, like a brand new 007 movie, so that was cool. But for the game that basically kickstarted the first-person shooter craze on consoles anyways.
Yep.
It really has gotten kind of the shit end of the stick for the past couple of decades.
Were you a cheater and played with Oddjob?
Huh?
Were you the cheater when you played?
No, I wasn't the cheater.
I
very rarely played multiplayer on GoldenEye just because I love the campaign so much.
Okay, I just want to make sure you weren't the odd job guy. I just want to make sure. I didn't know.
No, I was not the odd job guy. In fact, that was one of the rules whenever I played split screen was no odd job.
Okay, just making sure because I was definitely an odd job guy, which explains a lot about me.
But the guys who are making Hitman are developing this new 007 game. So what do you think that... Wait a minute. I realized I just accidentally deleted something.
What did you delete?
Nintendo confirms it's working on a new console.
That is correct. Yeah, that was there.
I accidentally... So let's touch on that super duper quick.
Nintendo, we're sorry.
We don't know anything about it.
We didn't forget you, Nintendo. We're sorry.
Yeah. So before we go back to 007, what do you think? You think it's going to be a 4K Switch or a brand new console? We don't know a damn thing.
I think it'll end up being a 4K Switch only because the Switch has been such a huge hit for Nintendo and just gaming worldwide. And you look at things like the iPad Pro or the way like my iPhone 12 has a 4K HDR screen on it with Dolby Vision and Dolby Sound. So it doesn't seem to be that far of a stretch. And
right.
Nintendo has been picking up a lot more third-party games recently, because they have Doom and Wolfenstein.
They really have. Fucking Doom Eternal came out on Switch.
Right. So, of
all games.
Exactly. And it plays so well, and it's so much fun. Like, I have all the other Dooms on there, and it's when I traveled, man, that was my go-to. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't touched my Switch in like 6 months, but, I'm not traveling as much, so I don't play it as much. But... dude, I think a 4K Switch is what we're going to have, and I think that they're going to start bringing in more third-party apps like a Netflix or because I know they have Hulu now, and they didn't want to be the streaming thing, but I think we'll get more storage. I think we'll get more like a Netflix, like a Apple TV kind of thing on there where it can be your real all-in-one. And I'm hoping Nintendo's just holding off until the world opens up a little bit more for travel because they're going to start being able to push 4K travel because I think that was something that Sony was looking into from a lot of patents we saw before the PS5 came out.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and Xbox as well. They were looking at a lot of like remote play, being able to go from your console to your bus trip on your way to work, to your commute or whatever it was. So I think that Nintendo will be the first to jump into that because the Switch was basically that. And I think that, we'll see it because, and this is going to lead us into the next 007 thing because the PSP was revolutionary when it was on moving, being able to play on the run and the remote play and stuff until they
I fucking loved it.
Right. But to
the
me,
PSP, the Vita, the fucking Wii U, all these quote portable systems I loved.
But the PSP is where the best James Bond game came out, and that was From Russia with Love. And they remade the movie into a video game, and they had Sean Connery revoice all the lines.
That was a good game.
Yes, and it was a third person shooter with James Bond, and it was basically a 1970s hitman starring James Bond.
So I completely fucking forgot about that game, and I love that game too. So this segues perfectly back into the 007 news.
You're goddamn right it does.
Developers are making it. Since the Hitman developers are making this new 007 game, do you think it's going to be a first-person shooter or a Hitman-styled game?
I think it will be a more Hitman-styled game because... there are so many games right now that are this first-person shooter style. One of the games being the one that we're going to talk about at the end that you and me just started playing. So I think that we're going to get more of the Hitman style game because IO Interactive already said that. I mean, they haven't really announced anything for the new consoles except Hitman 3 and a complete 4K upgrade. So if you owned Hitman 1 and 2, you'll get a brand new free versions of the game and Hitman 3 when it comes out.
Nice.
Which is great. So I think that
very nice.
Right. So I think you take that property of 007 and you put it into a dope Hitman style game. But I don't know, man. Shit. What do you think?
So
because now it depends on what James Bond game they're doing, like what kind of James Bond they're going with.
Exactly, and if you think back to the old Sean Connery James Bond movies, they weren't bombastic Michael Bay action pieces. I mean, James Bond was sneaky, James Bond was clever, whatever. So I guess the next question is, what Bond is this going to be? Is this going to be a Daniel Craig Bond? Is this going to be an original James Bond? Because there was a James Bond game for PS2 called Nightfall, I think, and that was like a generic Bond.
Yeah.
So is that what we're going to see here?
Well, see, and that's where I'm curious, because it takes me back now where I have to kind of rethink what I was saying, because From Russia with Love was a fucking Hitman style game with James Bond, but you already have all your Hitman games, and that was an older Bond, and that was before we got Daniel Craig out there kicking ass. So you can do Daniel Craig style Bond, but then you do that, then you're pigeonholing yourself into another game where you're just like, oh, an Assassin's Creed type James Bond, or you know what I mean? So they're gonna have to do it right. And IO Interactive, they're known for their Hitman games, and they're known for their stealth type, slow, methodical games. And if you think about the history of James Bond, he's supposed to be this stealth felt spy who does all this cool stuff, but in reality he's not really good at what he does. He tells everyone his name and blows a lot of shit up. So I mean,
true.
They could just take an unreleased, story and turn it into a video game, which I think will be cool. But
because of all the Ian Fleming books, there's got to be something that they haven't touched yet.
Right. There's so...
Oh, speaking of James Bond, I believe, and I'm not sure if this is still going on or if this is a thing that's permanent moving forward, but every single James Bond movie was free on YouTube with ads.
They are actually all
like
on...
in its like legally. Like not some shitty, not some shitty, I recorded it off a TV with my phone type thing. Like, actually this is a legit, every James Bond movie was free on YouTube with ads. And I rewatched my favorite Bond movie, which is The Living Daylights.
Oh, really?
And it Timothy Dalton is my favorite Bond to this day. And I think he got a really bad rap because he was a serious Bond right after Roger Moore's cartoon Bond, and everyone hated a serious Bond. But now we have Daniel Craig, who was a serious Bond, and everybody loves it. Yeah. I feel like Timothy Dalton's version was just way ahead of its time.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because that was the big criticism with Dalton, was that, he's not fun anymore. He's too serious. He's too angry. He's too stone cold as a killer.
Yeah. Well, that's Daniel Craig.
That's Daniel Craig, and everybody's all about it now. So
it's funny because I love James Bond, and I loved Sean Connery as James Bond, and he was just,
of course,
and he was so good. But then you go back and you watch those movies, and in reality, they're just he's not good. He is terrible.
Well, the thing about Sean Connery as Bond, if you look at his movies, there were really only two good ones. Well, three good ones, I would say. I would say Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger are the only good ones. Because once you start going into Diamonds Are Forever and You Only Live Twice, it gets weird, it gets racist.
You Only Live Twice gets extremely racist. But see, I enjoyed From Russia with Love. I thought that was Sean Connery's best outing as James Bond.
That's what I was saying. That's one of the only three good ones.
Yeah, and so it's just you're right. It's like I look at Sean
You
Connery.
can't watch Diamonds Are Forever and tell me that's one of the best Connery James Bond ones. It's not.
Right. It's not. You can go back and pretty much watch any of them, and as far as I'm concerned, there's only 4 or 5 that are good. And most of them are. You've got Casino Royale, which is one of the best Bond movies, newer versions. Spectre, the last one, which I thought was fucking amazing. It was which is a great one. You can go with GoldenEye with Pierce Brosnan, because GoldenEye,
I was just about to say.
Because that one right there is a true Bond movie, and then you can go back and choose. I would have to go with Dr. No, maybe. Octopussy, I think, is pretty good. But, you can just... There's one of each...
the Roger Moore ones, I really only like Live and Let Die and For Your Eyes Only. Those are the only two Roger Moore ones I can watch repeatedly.
But you can basically interchange any one of the Sean Connery. You can get the Lazenby in there. You can do T-Doll. You can do Roger Moore and pick one of them.
I'm so glad you mentioned Lazenby. In Her Majesty's Secret Service is... by far one of the top 5 Bond films ever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you can put that one in there, and then, which I agree with you 100%. It's a top 5, and then you can alternate any one of the other Bond actors, and anybody will have a different one from them. And that's just where you're like, okay, they're cool stories, but I don't get it. And then you look at these movies, and most of these movies, and I don't care what anybody says, are very misogynistic, old school, kind of just,
of course,
like look at Sean Connery with his just kind of out of shape, hairy, just just groping and grabbing and sexually assaulting women and shit, being drunk.
I was just gonna say, do you remember how much he was rough with women?
Yeah, like, and you watch it now,
like throwing them down on the bed and stuff like that, right, grabbing them by the arms and shoving them,
right, being like, "No, you're not gonna leave until we fuck, my lady." It's like, no, time out. This is uncomfortable. Like him basically just raping Moneypenny. Like I'm not a fan, and I'm sorry. I don't care. I know we all change with the times, and I see that. I'm like, dude, how the fuck have they made 27 of these movies? And then that's where in GoldenEye...
Or Roger Moore sleeping with Solitaire. It was Jane Seymour when she was fucking 19.
Yes, there's no way. And that's what was the grossest thing. And I was telling my wife about it the other day, and it's the same thing the same issue I have with that Mank movie coming out on Netflix, is that they casted, and they had this thing in Hollywood, and they still do it now, where they cast these women who are half or a third the age of these lead actors, because there's no way a 60-year-old man would ever want to kiss a 60-year-old woman. Fuck you, Hollywood. I don't want to see Amanda Seyfried as a 32-year-old being the wife of a 72-year-old person who's dying. That's not real. It doesn't happen. So stop doing it. And I don't want to see Sean Connery's 62-year-old ass trying to bang some 19-year-old. Stop it. Nobody cares. It's uncomfortable. And if you think it's cool, you're part of the problem. And it makes it hard to watch these fucking old school Sean Connery movies. So I'm like, dude, she's got to be 22. She looks uncomfortable. There's marks on her arm because he's groping her. And I'm pretty sure his mouth tastes like whiskey and cigars. Please do not tongue her. Like, why? So, I mean, sorry.
Yeah. Wow, we went off on a weird tangent there.
But that's why I give Daniel Craig the props as Bond, because at least he was cool. Yeah.
But too long didn't read. There's a new 007 game coming, so we'll have to wait and see what it is. Let's, before we go into Cyberpunk, really quick mention this. The Game Awards were last week, and they showed trailers for the new Mass Effect, the new Dragon Age, and what I was not expecting, a brand new Perfect Dark, because we talk about GoldenEye being kind of the golden child for, no pun intended, for first-person shooters. People forget that Perfect Dark came out right after, and it also was as beloved and as good as GoldenEye. And that Perfect Dark is as important in console first-person shooters. And
100%.
I love Joanna Dark as a character. I'm glad they're coming back. It looks fantastic. New Mass Effect looks great. I mean, looks like we're going back to... I mean, they showed Liara in the trailer, so it looks like we're going back to the core Shepard story.
Mass Effect is an EA staple. Like, I mean, that was like kind of like that EA staple game for them. So I'm excited.
So I'm really glad to see it back. Fucking Dragon Age. I love Dragon Age. All these BioWare games that were so good before they shit the bed with Anthem, I'm glad to see them back. So, I'm excited.
We are seeing, and I know this is going to sound crazy because it's been happening for a while, but we are right now in the golden age and the rebirth of video games unlike anything that we've seen. And it's in large part due to esports, due to YouTube, which I fucking hate, and due to social media. And it's because now video games isn't something that the nerdy person does or that these loser geeks talk about. It's something that the entire world gets involved in. It's something that gives college scholarships for gaming, and people are taking it serious now.
Did you ever think?
No, I did not, because if I would have, I would have spent a lot more time on Xbox. But no, it's gonna rot your brains. And I'm sitting here and I'm playing video games, and my kids are, my wife, who doesn't really care, she's watching these games because they're like movies and they're these epic masterpieces, and you're seeing these awards and the love and the passion and everything gone into this stuff. And I am so excited for the next 5 to 10 years of video games, as long as we get there and the world doesn't kill itself, about what's going to happen, because it's going to be beautiful, and we're going to be able to take these. And unlike movies, video games you can do this with. You can take these older video games like a Mass Effect or like a Perfect Dark, and you can retell these stories today because the graphics are better. You can alter the story to change the characters just enough where you're honoring your original, but you're making something new, and your fans aren't going to be pissed off. Your fans aren't going to be mad, because as a video game audience, we appreciate that, because you're giving us something better. There's a reason Resident Evil 2 Remastered sold as much as it did, because we love these stories. We just want them to look and be told better.
By the way, speaking of Resident Evil 2 Remake, I don't know if it's still on sale, but Resident Evil 3 Remake was on sale for like $19 the other day, and I got it. Oh, wow. You need to... Holy shit. I remember playing that, on the original PS1, and just like I was blown away with Resident Evil 2 remake. Wow. I mean, it looks like a next gen game.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous.
Well, I mean, think about how much it cost him to go. There it is. It's still on sale. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add that to cart. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, but like exactly, and you know what? Think about this. They didn't have to invest a ton of money to redo this story or anything at all. It's a great story that the fans love that just looks better. And that's not something that you can do with movies. Nobody wants to see Uncle Ben die again. I don't give a shit that Batman's parents have been killed so many times. I know, I get it, I've seen it. But I'll go through and I'll replay fucking Uncharted 4 3 or 4 or 5 different times.
Yep.
And that's just a connection that we have with video games and the way things are, at least in my opinion. So I'm so excited that these properties like Mass Effect, Perfect Dark, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, hopefully, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot. We need a Sly
Cooper game, too.
Right. Oh, my God, that would be amazing. Fucking Battletoads. The remake of Battletoads that came back was so much fun.
That was so good, yeah.
Dude, NHL 94 Rewind. I don't give a fuck and no shit fuck about hockey, but that NHL 94 Rewind makes me feel like a 10-year-old again, sitting in my room, watching fucking Mallrats playing NHL 94. Like, it's just so sick, and it's so much fun because that's what we remember and that's what we want, because the 10, 11, 12-year-olds who are playing with this are now 35, 36, 40-year-olds, and we have expendable income, and we want all of this now. So fucking give it to us. Hopefully, at least now we do. So I'm so excited about this stuff, man. I feel like a teenager again. Yet I feel like a cool teenager, and this is a whole different world for me.
Before we jump into our thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077, because boy, do we have thoughts.
I know, Jesus, it's been a long podcast.
Update everyone on how. Let's update everyone on how next gen has been for the past month, because when it launched, my PS5 was crashing daily.
Yes.
And you had like a crash or two with your Series X, right?
Yeah, I had a freeze issue where it would come on and there was sound, but nothing would work.
Well, I'm happy to report I haven't had a single crash on my PS5 since. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I stopped putting things into rest mode. From what I understand on Reddit, the rest mode crash is still happening, but, you know, as long as you shut the games down, which I did anyways. Even, you know, I don't do the quick resume shit. I always shut everything down. It's just like we talked about last time on my phone. I don't like having apps open in the background.
Yeah, me neither.
I just don't. So I swiped them away. So I'm happy to report everything's been going great. Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered got a fucking ray tracing 60 FPS patch. And it looks so fucking incredible. On my end, my Samsung TV started glitching out. It's like a 4-year-old TV. It started shutting itself off on its own. I don't know why. And on top of that, I found out that, long story short, it was only like an 8-bit panel or something like that, so I could never get true HDR. So I was like, you know what? It's already dying. It's time for me to upgrade. Best Buy is offering fantastic financing. So I upgraded to a Sony X900H 65-incher, and I'm getting, you know, Dolby Vision now. I'm getting true HDR. I'm actually getting some brights that look bright, and 120 FPS, which you and I talked about a little bit through text. To me, it's not a huge difference from 60 FPS, so I don't intend to, you know, sacrifice 120 over visuals ever.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
I tried it out on Dirt 5, and I tried it out on Devil May Cry and Gears, and maybe to my untrained eye, it just doesn't look any different than 60 FPS. It just looks like shittier graphics and just as smooth. So I disabled that and put everything back to 60 FPS with the 4K, and I'm happy as a clam.
Yeah, see, I'm different. I will always go for better visual quality than anything else. Like I'll take a lower refresh rate so I can have better visuals.
It depends on the game, like we talked about. If it's a racing game or a if I were a competitive Cold War player, fine, I get it. 120 FPS might be beneficial, but I'm not. I play Spider-Man. I fucking play, you know, Spider-Man, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed. Yeah. I don't need 120 FPS.
Absolutely
I'm perfectly fine with 60, even 30. So
it's crazy that we have such first world problems.
I know, right? It is what it is. But how have things been for you with your new consoles?
I have not had any issues. I mean, aside from Call of Duty, which I went out and paid full money for, which I can't fucking finish because the game keeps crashing and it sucks and it's stupid.
And that's a known issue too. I mean, not just with PS5, it's with both consoles.
Yeah, and I'm so mad about that.
The game itself.
Some people got to beat it and I can't. I keep going through this level and it keeps shutting down. But I haven't had any issues with it, man. I'm absolutely ecstatic with my PS5. I've played that a lot more than my Series X, but I haven't had next to any of the first stage issues after a couple patches. But man, again, back to what I said, I'm just so excited for the next gen of what's happening because it's so exciting and it's just, dude, it's crazy. And the games that we're playing now that we're blown away on are I mean, as close to day one as you're gonna get, without being a day one game. And I'm just kind of excited for the future. I'm not excited for what we currently have as a lineup of games and things like that. But going back and playing Uncharted 4 on my PS5, it's like a whole new game. It really is, because it's just the detail, the graphics, everything is just there. Playing Borderlands 3 is how can I explain this? The PlayStation 5 and the Series X are both great consoles. You can't go wrong. The winning touch for me is the controller. The DualSense on the PS5 makes everything different. So when I'm playing Borderlands 3,
I can see that.
Yeah, when I'm playing Borderlands 3 on the PS5, the trigger and the haptic feedback, I can feel the difference between shooting a shotgun and shooting a handgun. And when I'm pulling a pin on a grenade, and I can feel the difference of the ground that I'm walking on. When I'm playing Madden, which the next gen upgrade was garbage. I can feel where I'm going to be hit from the right or for the left, and you get the haptic feedback. And that controller, to me, is the difference between a next gen and a current gen game. Like, I mean, it's just, it really is, and PlayStation destroyed it with their controller. So I love it. I've had no issues with it, aside from the couple that I've showed you. I'm happy, and I just want to go play more.
Yeah. On that note, I also purchased Immortals Phoenix Rising, and I'm having a ton of fun with that game. If anyone is a fan of Breath of the Wild, Immortals Phoenix Rising it's like a Greek mythology version of Breath of the Wild, but unlike Breath of the Wild, it has a huge amount of humor thrown in. It's hands down one of the funniest games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, you've sent me a couple of the messages from it. I was laughing my ass off.
Dude, it's so funny. And so what you play a character that's, going through his or her adventures. And the concept of the story is Zeus and Prometheus are having a conversation telling the story of what your character is doing. So they'll interject every now and then with like, wait a minute, that's not how it happened, and things like that, It's fucking hilarious. But there's something weird about the visuals, man. Everything is like this bright orange and red, and I don't know if it's just where I am in the game, or I'm pretty positive I have my visual settings set correctly. But the game looks off, and I don't know what the deal is. So other than that, I'm having a ton of fun with it. But you and I have both been sinking a ton of hours into Cyberpunk.
Yep.
And we need to talk about Cyberpunk.
Oh, God, yes, do we ever.
Cyberpunk launched on Thursday, and the first thing I think both of us noticed were people were really pissed off online, and the game looked really shitty.
Yes.
Now, I'm not one to say, oh, this, Xbox Series X game looks like PS3 graphics. I'm not one to usually say that, but that is what it looked like. It looked like a fucking PS3 game. I couldn't understand why.
I know, dude. And I was texting you back and forth because I got it the day early, so I kind of went in and was kind of playing it a little bit. And I've told you before, I'm very much like, okay, it has to look good for me. And I was like, dude, I don't think it looks good, but I'm also like, oh, maybe my TV's old, or maybe I just can't see as well as I used to. I don't want to say anything. But
you texted me a couple of times, I think it's my TV, and I'm like, no, I don't think so, because mine looks shitty too.
Right, then you confirmed it, and then I saw that article, I think it was on Vice that popped up today or whatever it was, and it's basically like, it's like looking at a beautiful game through an old school camcorder. And that's
like Vaseline is on the screen.
Right. And I'm sitting there, and there's a couple scenes where, in the beginning where you're in the car with Dex, and, you're kind of talking, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, man, this doesn't look that bad. I can get used to this. And then I pause it, and I take a step back, and then I look at, Twitter about how the game is supposed to look, and I look at my screen, I'm like, this is fucking garbage, dude. It looks like I'm playing... and I said this before, it looks like a last-gen game trying to be played on a new-gen game, and it's disappointing as all fuck, because it's just, I had such high hopes for this game, and I got it, and I put it in, and so I text you that thing this morning, and basically what they're saying is if you go through your settings, under your visual settings, and turn off every single filter, it'll look better.
Yeah, film grain, chromatic aberration, lens flare, turn it all fucking off.
So I turned all of that stuff off, and yes, the game does look better, and I'm completely fine with that. But what the fuck is the point of having this brand new game on this brand new system where you have to turn all this shit off? And then it's upsetting to think that this is a game that's been in development for 8 years. It's been delayed, it's been pushed back, it's been moved forward. We've had all these issues. And then we get it, and The Witcher 3 looks and plays better than Cyberpunk does.
So I think one of the main things that we need to address here is that when it did launch on Thursday, it launched with broken HDR. That's not me just saying, it looks crappy, the HDR's broken. No, the HDR was actually broken.
Yeah.
Now, a patch came out this weekend that fixes it for the most part, but it removes the kind of smudgy Vaseline effect as well, and the HDR does look better, but it does not look like what other game can I think of? Forza Horizon 4 HDR. It's not at that level yet.
Or
There's
even
still
Gears
a lot
5. Like even Gears 5 looks
exactly
better.
Any of those games.
Like even the updated Halo Master Chief Collection looks better.
Yeah, I think what we're getting is, basically we are all playing this backwards compatible right now because the next gen patch isn't here yet. So we are playing a last-gen version, and even that's not an excuse because, look, Ghost of Tsushima was a last-gen game, and it looks better than half the new-gen games right now. Without any upgrades, other than an unlocked frame rate. It looks considerably better than Watch Dogs. It looks better than Dirt. It looks better than any of these games that are supposed to be new-gen games. So the fact that it was a last-gen game being played via backwards compatibility, not a fucking excuse. So... I don't know how to say this. It looks like shit, but I'm having a blast with it.
Exactly. And that's the best way to put it because, have you beaten the prologue yet?
Not even. I'm 3.5 hours into it. I have not gotten the title splash yet.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil anything. What's the part you're at now?
Let me think. I just finished the mission where you have to go into that brain dance recording with the, what's that chick that you meet at the strip joint? And you have to go through that recording of that Japanese guy that she goes to see, and you have to find where he's hiding the chip. I just finished that part.
Okay, so once you get out of there and stuff, the game picks up, and it actually, it's a good story, and I'm hooked in it, but I think it took me about 7 hours to get to the splash screen, but I was playing a lot and doing side missions and kind of walking around and checking shit out.
Same.
But I will say, Keanu Reeves, once you get to him down the road and everything else, it just goes to show, I'm sorry, man, but Keanu Reeves is not a good actor. I like him in John Wick and Bill and Ted, but this dude just,
no one ever claimed he was.
He just sounds like he's reading words off of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And what sucks is...
He's likable, but no one's ever going to give him an Oscar.
Dude, man, if I saw Keanu Reeves... if Keanu Reeves is listening, I'm so sorry that I said that, dude. I love you as a human being. I want to hug you, and I want you to come live in my house. I want to feed... dude, you're the best human being ever, and I love your movies. But that being said, he is really, really good as the voice of Johnny Silverhand once you kind of get to him, because he delivers it the way it should be in the game. But you can just tell it's like, all right, well, you're Keanu Reeves. But what sucks is, there's parts in this game where, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, or you've got to do a few things, or, there's close communication with the other, characters in the game, and it looks so fucking terrible that I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
Like, it takes me out of it, and I'm just like, dude, I don't want to play this anymore. It just looks so bad. But it gets me into the story, and it's a good story, but it just looks terrible. And I'm so upset because I supported CD Projekt Red for a long time, and, you know, but now I kind of get why they were delaying it, why they were, you know, they've been kind of quiet about things, because it just wasn't ready to be released.
I don't even think, I mean, based off of CD Projekt Red's, you know, track record, I don't even think it was their fault. I think the shareholders went, look, you guys have had 8 years to fucking make this game. We are putting it out this holiday season. There's a pandemic going on. There's new systems. We want to make the money that we know we will make from this game. I don't care if your game is finished or not. Release it now, fuckers. I think that's what happened.
No, I agree with you 100%. And CD Projekt Red is very good at putting a note inside of their game saying, hey, thanks for supporting us. We're going to continue to support you by releasing everything free. Yeah. We're going to, and I will not take anything away from them because they're very good at that. But you and me talked about this before the podcast started. At what point do we have to start holding these studios accountable? How many times?
Right, exactly, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, this game shipped broken. Fuck this." But you know, if you really think about it, the entire last gen was a bunch of broken games that were shipped and then were patched out later.
Right.
And we're basically enablers.
Yeah, and it sucks that we see that, and then you get these great games like The Last of Us 2 came out. Oh God, excuse me. And I can't think of anything like, you know, that really needed to be fixed with that. At least on my end, from what I played. And I can see why I got
a fucking game like Hades.
Yes. Dude, and it's mind-baffling that people will push this thing out. And you're 100% right. Pandemic, holiday season, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get it out. But as of today, PlayStation is giving people full refunds on this game because they have up to 14 days to return to digital versions. And it is getting returned. And it is getting hammered. So how many people are going to come back 6 months from now? You know, and how long am I going to sit here and want to come back and play this game if it's going to take them 6 months to a year to give me the next gen upgrade? Like, really?
Right.
Like, I mean, you guys, I know
because we don't know when that's coming. No. All we know is it's coming in 2021. That's it.
Right. And I am all for supporting them and supporting, you know, gaming companies that are trying to do what they have to do. And there's only so much they can control. But you mean to tell me that CD Projekt Red wasn't able to get their hands on a Series X or a PS5 before they came out in stores to try to figure out what they need to do to fix it?
And I think that's part of the problem, actually. I think this is just me talking out of my ass, okay? I think the reason why we're seeing all the problems on the current consoles now is because CD Projekt Red has been developing the next-gen version. And what we're playing now is a last-gen version. I think they put all their time and effort into the next-gen version we're supposed to be getting later on down the road. And that's why this backwards-compatible version runs like dog shit.
Yeah, well, apparently it even plays worse on the, you know, on the Xbox One and a PS4.
Yeah, and
like,
the PS4.
I mean, yeah, people are saying, I mean, it looks like an N64 game from what you're seeing. And this is where I wish that we could have, I wish that we were in a time and a place where these independent, you know, people are able to get the money in the back end to take the time to put their games out and do what they have to do. Like, I mean, it sucks that you have these shareholders who are pushing out a game, and it's not just gaming, but CD Projekt Red has been working on Cyberpunk for 8 years. To have this pushed out and to have the product of their last 8 years just bashed for technical difficulties, not for anything else, but for technical difficulties, which is almost the exact same as The Last of Us 2 came out for 7 years. People worked on that to get bashed because people didn't like the inclusivity inside the story. And that's what sucks. Like, one of these things you can't control, like The Last of Us 2. People are going to be pricks and assholes, and you just have to silence the haters by going out and winning awards and just fuck off, fuck them kids, basically, and move on. Yep. But the other one, like CD Projekt Red, this is stuff that you can fix and stuff that you have people working tirelessly and getting shit on for stuff that's out of their hands, and it just sucks. And it seems like what we're going to get is just this amazing story and this great time, and it's just going to be hard to be invested in it when it looks terrible. It just does.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping for, because what's done is done. The game's out. People bought it. You know, some people are getting refunds, whatever. What's done is done. What I'm hoping for is, since we know the next gen patch is not coming until next year at the earliest, and they did say we are putting everything into this next gen upgrade, every ounce of power we can draw from these consoles, we're gonna do. Now, granted, as of now, that's an empty promise because, you know, we thought this game was gonna look amazing regardless, and it wasn't the case. What I at least, at the bare minimum, hope is at least consistent patches between now and then. Patch it out, make the game look a little bit, but make it at least look like a fucking Xbox One PS4 game.
Right. I think that they will because,
at least.
Even the one that just came out helps enhance the game and it makes it look better, but it was also a 16 gig patch. So, I mean, if you're somebody who has a PS5 and let's say you got Call of Duty and you've got Madden and you've got fucking I don't know, something else, you got Godfall and now you've got Cyberpunk. Well, what are you going to play? Well, Cyberpunk's going to have to be set or get returned because I'm going to have to wait for another 50 gig patch that's going to come out to have to give me exactly what I need. I'm good, man. I'll wait.
Well, at least for now you can play it off an external because it's a last gen version. But yeah, once that, if this fucking patch that does hot fixes is 16 gigs, I don't even want to know what the next gen patch is going to be. What, 60 gigs?
That's what I'm saying. 60, 70? It's like, no, I'm good, man. Yeah. It's gonna be crazy. I mean,
crazy.
but you know, invest in it. Help them out, man. It is a great game. I can tell the story's gonna be there. You can tell there is a lot of love and passion and everything put into this game. So to see the hate that they're getting, the people returning it and everything else, quit being spoiled. You already spent the money. Just sit on it. Wait. Give it time. Just like an investment in the stock. You've got to let it age. So it'll get there. It will. And just, you know, it's just right now it's not ready. So unfortunately, it's going to sit to the side and I'm going to have to go back to playing Assassin's Creed or going back to playing Spider-Man or something else.
As much as I hate encouraging this, I mean, I think this is just the norm now. I mean, games are so huge now with so much technology and so much, you know, everything's online now. Remember back in the day with the PS2, you had to buy a network adapter.
Yep.
Just to play Final Fantasy XI online, you know? So, I mean, everything is fucking connected now. There are so many variables that go into game development that I think, you know, I'm not excusing this, but I think this is just the norm now. We're gonna see games shipped broken and developers will just have to wait and see what pops up in the real world, not testing on a closed server, in the real world, and then patch things out as they come up. That's just how things are now.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to start to be, I think with this we're going to see a shift from pre-orders. I mean, it's going to be really hard for people to invest money in pre-ordering a game knowing that day one it's not going to work, or, you know, so you got to, and then at what point do people no longer want physical shit that you're going to give them? Oh, cool, I've pre-ordered, you know, the Avengers game and I got all these cool costumes, but the game sucks, so I'm not going to fucking play it. Thanks for nothing. I'm not pre-ordering your next shit.
Yeah, am I going to pre-order Hogwarts Legacy now? I mean, am I going to get a broken game? Or do I wait a week and see what happens?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly where I think people are at, and that's what we're going to see, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I mean, like I said, I think this is just the direction the industry is going. It does suck. And, you know, let's not kid ourselves. Even back in the N64, PS1, PS2 days, games shipped broken, you know? The only benefit now is that everything's online, so you can do something like push out a patch. I mean, back in the day, if, you know, I don't know, if Majora's Mask shipped broken, for instance, it didn't, but if it did, there was no way to fix it. You were just stuck with a shitty game.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I remember for the original Xbox, I went, the day it launched, I bought Batman Dark Tomorrow because I was so excited about it. That game was the shittiest, buggiest mess. I couldn't even get out of the first level. And guess what? I was fucking stuck with it.
Yeah.
Well, and it never got patched because you couldn't.
No, well, and that's where like a Blockbuster Video was great, because you can, or a Hollywood Video Game Center where you can just go over there and rent your games and be like, oh man, this game is garbage, and you took it back. And I think that's where now like you said, everything's connected. So we just continuously give these developers multiple chances to let us down and take more of our money. That's a reason that, a lot of these loot crates and shit for money had to go away from EA Games. You're like, hey man, buy this game for $60 and spend another $100 to upgrade. It's like, wait, what? And and we're not stupid. We're also living in a time now where if I have to give somebody $60 for a video game, it better fucking work, because $60 is not easy to come by, and they've got to realize that if people have to spend $60, where are we going to spend our $60? And I think that they're running into, this time where investors will have